Shirt show. All right, let's go.
Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Talking shirt! Shirt show! Shirt, man! All right, episode 37 of Shirt Show. We're talking with Kellan from Black and White Screen Printing in Canada. Let's go!
Let's thank our sponsors, Dylan.
Well, I want to thank Easy Way because it's, you know, we've been cleaning screens and we've tried other chemicals and it seems to be the easiest way.
Easy Way, the easiest way.
Right.
All right, next.
Next.
Next we have Frank.
Right, the F guy.
I miss him. I usually talk to him, you know, like once a week it seems. Well, I didn't talk to him this week. You want to call him? Should we get him on the phone real quick?
We should just be like, hey, Frank, what's up? Happy Valentine's Day.
All right, let's try. Hold on.
All right.
Let's see if he's... I mean, why would he answer the phone on a Saturday? That'd be...
Because it's you.
Well, you got a point.
I hope he answers with obscenities.
You have a point. We're just going to wish him happy Valentine's Day if he answers.
Right.
If he doesn't answer, we're going to anyway.
We'll leave it on his voicemail.
All right. I don't think I have a voicemail set up.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. Hey, it's just me and Dylan, and we wanted to wish you happy Valentine's Day.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, sure thing. Talk to you later.
Whoa.
Whoa. Oh, but he can't hear you.
Oh, well.
Yeah, so
No,
fuck.
I can't hear Dylan.
I love you, Frank.
Dylan says he loves you.
Yeah, thank you.
He didn't say I love
he
you.
loves me back.
No, he didn't say back at you. All right, Frank, we'll talk to you later.
All right, brothers. Later.
Yep.
I have a broken heart
It's
now.
hard. Well, for some people,
I just got fucking kicked in the chest.
you got rejected. See, here's the thing. Frank loves me.
Right. You would have been like, love you. You'd been like, oh, obviously, love you
if
too.
I said that, right. He would.
I said, love you. And he said, all right, man.
Crickets.
Hangs up the phone.
Yeah. Well, some guy, you know, sometimes it's hard to express when somebody loves somebody so much. Sometimes they can't say it, and maybe that's it.
Right.
You know, it's just too hard for.
I think what happened is it's just like when I said I love you, it just knocked the wind out of him.
Well, a lot of us put up walls. You know what I mean? Like we have
This is getting deep now.
these walls that we have to protect ourselves, right? And so Frank maybe has a wall up because he knows what would happen if like you became a good, you know, like good friends and stuff. So
It's a good thing I'm good at scaling walls.
well, I guess we should say what Frank does. It's not just some guy, some F guy.
He's the best fucking screen maker in the world. That's what F stands for.
Yeah, I forgot. Okay, true.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what that stood for. Okay, cool. So we took care of that one. And then we have Monarch.
Monarch.
Yep.
Do you want to just say it's the best ink in the world? Because that's what we say about everything.
We could. That's a big claim. But when it's true, it's true.
No joke though. Like seriously, we've been using it a lot lately, obviously, because we have the full system and like it's been super awesome. And I've had so many people hit me up over the past 2 weeks about the system and that they tried it and they loved it. And I'm pretty stoked to be working with them for sure.
So I'm looking up who it was. Jason from Designed in Ink had some Stark LB Whyte, and he had something was going on and I can't remember what. And he had it on his turnabout. I think it was cold. And he's like, hey, what's going on with my flooding? And I said, dude, you need to talk to Aaron. I gave him Aaron's number, called him, and Aaron talked to him like 5 times throughout that day. 5 phone calls, personally called him 5 times and solved the issue. That's enough said, right?
Yep.
Check that out. Check that out.
It's good shit.
It's good shit. So I would say you should ink better, print better.
Live better. Taco Bell.
I think that's close. That's close. All
Live
right?
Moss.
That's close
Taco
enough.
Bell.
That is close enough.
Let's do it. Hey, what's going on, dude?
Not a lot. Just hanging out.
So bright, so white.
I know it's crazy.
Well, the North Pole, practically. I mean, that's what it is up there.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's,
Right. Kellan lives at the North Pole.
you got like I think like actually where I live, we were the coldest place on the planet this past week.
Well, I think you sent some of that this way with this Tim Hortons coffee, which is, by the way, delicious. I'm going to take another sip right now. So good. And also, we have like currently, Dylan, I don't know what it is there, but this is like record cold for St. Louis.
Yeah, I seen it was like minus 17 or something there today.
Check this
wasn't it?
out. Check this out. What does that say?
10.
Yeah.
Sounds
That's your
cool.
fault.
Oh,
I'm thinking.
He's like, oh, actually, that sounds really good right about now.
He's like 10. That's nice. Heat wave.
I have no idea what 10, like, I guess we use Celsius. So
Oh, that's a whole different debate.
yeah, it's ridiculous. I have to like, whenever I talk to Americans, I always have to like go and toggle back and forth to actually figure out what the actual degree difference is. Right around minus 40, we're about the same temperature.
So, how is Canada right now? Is it pretty crazy, or are you guys like fully COVID free?
No, it's pretty stupid. Like they, I seriously think it was the first or second week of December. They went into like kind of like a second lockdown. Like basically they told us like over Christmas, like you're not allowed to see like family members that don't live in your household. Like we couldn't do anything. It was, and they basically opened up a little bit, I think in mid-January, and like it's still brutal. Like you can't do anything. So it's basically like go to work, go home. That's about it, really.
You guys have like outdoor seating for like restaurants and stuff?
Oh, you wouldn't want to go outdoors right
Dylan, you didn't we just talk about the temperature?
Dude,
there?
It's cold as shit here too, but we still have outdoor eating. They just have like tents.
I mean, I don't know if anyone's doing that around here. Tell you the truth.
It doesn't make any sense because they're saying go eat outside, but then you go eat outside in a tent that's closed and heated.
Yeah. Like
so it's the same.
Probably worse.
Thing.
Probably worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
blowing it around each other.
I think they just opened up restaurants the other day, and like the only way you're allowed to go to a restaurant right now is if you're there with people you live with. So it's just kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Well, one day this is going to all be over, and we'll tell our grandkids
Yeah, exactly.
about it. And
isn't that crazy?
wow.
Like we were talking about that a little while ago. Like this is such like a huge deal that it's like something that would be in a history book.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like someday some kids are going to be learning about this shit in middle school.
Yeah. I hate like doing random like tasks around the shop with a mask on. Like if you're doing anything that like involves like any kind of physical exertion, it sucks.
Are you guys all masked up at work?
Yeah, like two of my guys in November got COVID. And so like ever since then, like we've been wearing masks, like not sitting at the same tables for lunch and stuff. So it's
Right.
I don't want that to happen again.
It's kind of a bummer. Did they just get like the no taste kind of thing? Like
No, like one of them said like his symptoms were kind of like strep throat. And then the other guy, he thought he had like a sinus infection or something, but they both only really had symptoms for about 3-4 days. And then, they had to stay at home for, I think 10, and everybody else who was at the shop, since we were in close contact, had to isolate for like 2 weeks or something. So I basically ended up coming in here and screen printing by myself for that time period.
Yeah. Are you guys like fully back now? Like normal schedule, normal everything, or is it kind of a lull?
Yeah, I mean, for this time of the year, like I mean, the most of the lull is getting clothing. Like we're having, like, being in Canada sucks to get clothing as it is, and then when there's stock shortages all the time, it makes it that much worse.
How do you get t-shirts way up there? Like, what is the process of ordering shirts, and then how long does it take? Like once you put your shirts in a cart and hit buy, what happens?
The question is, where are you buying them from?
So I guess Canada has their own version of Alpha
like
Broder.
a Broder or something, right?
Yeah, we have Alpha Broder. We have it's called Sanmar Canada. Like they're the same, but they're not the same. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And then another company just got bought out by S&S about a year ago. So we use all those. And then there's like some little mom and pops that we can get stuff from, but dependent, like we're anywhere from 1 to 4 days within Canada. And then if we need to, like what we'll just do is like, I'm pretty good buddies with Josh Keane from Thread Monster, and like we'll just use his accounts and order stuff, ship it to his shop or ship it to like some of my other buddies' shops, and then we'll just like DHL it from them to us.
Is that cheaper? Or it's just the convenience of actually getting those blanks?
It's like there's so much stuff we can't get in Canada, and like
why can't you get it though? That's what I don't get. Like if you have Broder and you have SNS, like why are they not carrying?
Yeah, they just don't carry all the stock that all the American versions do. It's very ridiculous. And even if we ask them, they're like, "Oh yeah, we can't get it." And you're like, "I can literally get it myself and bring it here." So
yeah, that's weird.
It's super annoying.
Do you guys have any brands that we don't have though? Like I know in UK and like Australia and stuff, they have like a bunch of weird brands that they like swear by.
Yeah, like
we don't have.
One brand that we use for like cheap hoodies a bit is called M&O. Like they're made in Mexico, I think, and for some reason they're sold by SNS, but I don't think SNS in the States sells it.
I feel like someone brought me one of those once, like some rep did, and they were like, "Oh, they have a T-shirt or something," and they were like, "Oh, it's actually cheaper than a Gildan." Yeah, and I was like, "That's not really on my radar." Like,
well,
don't want to buy
Gildan
anything
is
cheaper than a Gildan.
Isn't Gildan a Canadian company?
As far as because it's called like Gildan Canada or something, I think. So
I think their corporate headquarters is somewhere in Canada.
Yeah,
I always thought that anyway.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I thought it was called like Gildan Canada or something.
Now, what about all your other supplies and stuff? Like that's all good up there as far as like inks and chemicals and stuff like that, or?
Yep. For the most part, like most of the chemicals we use, we actually get them from a Canadian company. It's called the Lancer Discovery Group. They like manufacture Excalibur inks and stuff.
Yeah.
So they make a lot of that, and then like there's a couple other companies that are semi-local, and they stock like Wilflex, and I think there's a company in like Eastern Canada that we get emulsion and stuff from as well. So we kind of just like, I usually order like 12 gallons of emulsion at a time, so I have a ton here. That
well, that's something that not a lot of people realize either. Like with us northern printers, we have to order emulsion when we can get it, when there's like a slight heat wave.
Yeah.
So it doesn't freeze. Like I had AJ here from Davis the other day, and he brought me like 2 cases of emulsion because he knew it was going to be really cold.
Yeah.
And he was like just, I'll bill you, but like, don't worry about it. I'm coming through. Here's some emulsion.
In St. Louis, it doesn't freeze much until around Christmas, let's say. And so before the end of the year, we stock up on emulsion because January, February are the cold months for here. And then it's warm, especially spring and March. And so we buy all of our emulsion. We buy like 3 months worth of emulsion in case, like what you said, like right now we can't get any, like they would not ship. We would have to drive and get it at the distributor, but they won't ship any.
We've actually had Davis, I told them like there was like a day, I think we ran out of emulsion and we didn't have any. So they went and bought those like hand warmers, the little bag ones that like hunters use. And they just like opened the box with 1 gallon of emulsion in it and like cracked a bunch of them and like left them in there. So like it was heated while it shipped.
It's a pretty cool
that
worked.
Yeah, it worked. I mean, it didn't freeze. So
nice.
It was nice to get, they helped us out of that situation. So it was pretty sweet.
I usually have to order like our emulsion in like October. And I usually try to order enough that like I'm going to make it through the winter for sure.
Do you guys order gallons or do you order a 5 gallon?
We ordered a 5 gallon once. That was the worst idea ever. So yeah, we try. We're like, how the hell do you like distribute this easily into like your scoop coater or normally what we do is we actually put our emulsion into like a juice jug, and then you can like just pull this juice jug out and pour it nice and easy right into your scoop coater.
That's pretty handy. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And then we'll just, when we're done with it, that one time we'll pour it into another juice jug and then put saran wrap over the top and then save it and then just keep doing that just so it's nice and easy.
One thing I saw, and I have it saved on my computer because I like save a ton of stuff all the time when I find anything that's like really cool printing wise or like a tip or a trick or whatever. I think it was Cole Lundstrom that did it, where he had like a little 2x4 tea stand, and he cut like a 5-gallon pail in half, and then did it like screwed the pail to the tea stand, and then you could put like a 5 emulsion in it, and then you could just tip up on it a little bit, and it would like hold the 5 as you like poured it into something.
Oh, that's cool.
Just so you didn't have to like try to hold a 5-gallon and dump it. But they say what you should do is if you want to buy a 5 is just keep like a gallon, like a regular gallon of it, and then just refill the gallon instead of trying to
That's
like,
what we
dump a
do.
5 into a trough.
That's what we
Yeah.
do now is, we buy 5s and just pour it off into a 1 because it has a spout like that's pretty
Right.
tall.
Yeah.
And you just pour it into a 1, fill the 1, and then
Just keep using the 1.
Yeah, just keep using the 1.
Yeah, we tried to be super. I don't know. We tried to buy like spouts that like you could put on and like do the quarter turn and to try and pour it out. It would like get you a trickle, and like I think we bought 3 or 4 different spouts just to see if it was going to work. And it was just like a colossal waste of time. But
You know what I just signed for was a drum pump, like an ink pump.
Did you get the one
Yeah.
from Monarch?
Yeah, so I had they're giving it to me, right? But I
Aaron said he
had
was gonna
to
send you one.
Yeah, but I had to sign. It's like $1,000-something, and I had to sign. It's like a consignment deal where you
Right. If you're going to
as
keep
long-
buying the drums, they'll give it to you.
exactly. So if you buy their drums of ink from Monarch, then you can use this pump. But if you stop, then you've got to give the pump back. And if the pump is damaged or whatever, then I guess you owe them $1,000. So yeah, they got you. But
That'll
we're
be
excited.
cool,
I've
though.
never had a pump before like that, so I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, that'd be.
I was
super rad.
curious on those, like how they get the majority. Like, does it just get until it's like, like 2-3 inches off the bottom, and then you have to hold somebody by their ankles while they like scrape the white out of the bottom?
Well, I'm going to find out.
You're like holding Joanne by her ankles while she's like scraping the bottom of the 5.
Yeah, we're not wasting any ink. Okay.
Right.
No doubt.
Yeah. So Kellan, tell us how you got started. Tell us your early story.
Oh man. Well, I guess originally, junior high school, we had like in shop class had screen printing. So, I mean, I did that. And then after high school, I worked in the oil field, and I got bored because you work a rotation of 2 weeks on, you'd get a week off. And so on my week off, during the normal week, like all your friends have normal jobs or whatever. And I got bored, and I started looking around and tried to like at the time, like I don't even think Roundnet might have been popular, but not in Canada. So I mean, I couldn't even have bought anything yet. So I like literally was just searching around the city to see if I could find like a supplier, and I bought like one screen, a couple things of ink and emulsion and a squeegee. And like, didn't even buy a scoop coater. They're like, you're going to need something to put that on. I was like, I got this. And like, what I ended up doing was I just poured the emulsion on the screen and like tried to scoop it up with the squeegee. And basically like I built all my own stuff. Like I built an exposure unit, like had a welder that I worked with. He built me like a single station, single color press. And I did that for about 3 months. And then I bought one of those, I think it was Logos press, like those little magnet, like single station 4-color presses.
They're like the blue ones with the magnets that point right up.
Yeah. So I bought one of those off of eBay, and I
was
think,
going to say they're like eBay presses.
yeah, 100%.
Where
Like,
were you?
I mean,
Where was your shop?
so this was my first house. It was originally in my storage room in my basement. So like a 10 by 10 room or something. And like, I was exposing screens with like 2 500-watt halogens. Like I'd just store screens on like, I think I actually just used ink containers to like separate them as they were drying and stuff. And then in Canada, we have, it's kind of like Canada's version of Craigslist. It's called Kijiji.
I don't know why I laughed. It just Craigslist alone sounds skeezy. And then you're like, no, ours is called Kijiji.
Kijiji list? Does it have, it's called Kijiji list?
No, it's called Kijiji. Just that's it. And so anyways, I don't know, like about 6 months in, I was just searching Kijiji for screen printing stuff, and somebody like in my city was getting rid of what looked to be an awesome setup at the time. It ended up being Caps International junk, and I ended up buying it all. And I got a conveyor dryer, a 6-color 4-station manual, and then like a bunch of clothing and ink and stuff with it. And that press was a nightmare.
So what were
Still
you
in this 10 by 10 room with all that stuff?
No, so I guess by the time I got this cap stuff, I just moved it out to like the main part of my basement, and I printed down there for, I don't know, about a year and a half, and then.
But how did you get into it though? You were just like, I'm bored, I wanted to screen print. Did you just start getting customers, or were you doing
so I guess
clothing line, or what were you doing?
So there's a skate shop in Leduc, and like I grew up skateboarding, like I knew these the skate shop owner and stuff, and so what I ended up doing was just being like, hey, send me your logo. I model the screen printing stuff. I want to learn how to, practice with your guys' logo and stuff. Right. And so they sent it to me, and I just started posting pictures on Facebook at the time. And, randomly people would just be like, hey, like you're printing shirts, like you want to do me some shirts? And I was like, okay. It was actually 11 years ago, this week or something was like the first job I ever printed. That's and awesome. I was telling one of my guys here the other day, it took me 8 hours to print 50 shirts. It was pretty bad. But yeah, like basically like the skate shop in Leduc, like they were my first like real customer, and they put up with a lot of shitty ass prints. Like, like they'd be like, hey, so prints washed off the shirt, first run through the washer. You're like, that sucks a lot. And I mean, to this day, like he's still one of our top 10 customers. Like he's great dude. Like they've been around. And like, so
I feel like with skate culture, it was just like, that's cool. Like you're DIYing them. So like, try again. You know what I mean? If it was like a corporate client, they would have been like, wow, fuck you. And then never came back. No,
100%. Like he was really good to deal with. Like, he's like, yeah, man, like you're learning. He's like, I'm glad this was for us kind of thing. And you're like, awesome. So
yeah.
Why did it take 8 hours? Because for me, I remember when I first started, sometimes I would have to make, this is no joke, 5 or 6 screens before I actually made one that was good. Like I didn't know, my light source was so bad, and I didn't have a vacuum table. I put shit on top of, you know what I mean? Like it was such a joke, but it was all I had. And so I was trying to learn, and I would sometimes literally have to make 5 or 6 screens before I got one to work. When I first started. And so was that part of it, or why would it take 8 hours to print 50 shirts? Curious.
I'm going to say just sheer not having a clue of what I was doing. So it was 50 t-shirts, and thankfully they were white t-shirts, but it was a front and a back print. And when I first, like this would have been with that little crappy eBay press. I just had a flash dryer at the time. So like I was literally printing and flash curing every shirt before I was on to the next one. So just like, I don't know, like and there was no room to move like in there. So it was like one at a time. It was pretty crazy.
And it's funny too, like how many people are just starting out and don't know that like you say you're in your garage and you're printing some shirts and you find out there's like a pinhole or like something, you got ink on the shirt on like the whole order, that they're just like, oh, these are fucked, I got to start over. Like they didn't know there's like a spot remover gun.
Oh, 100%.
Like take ink out.
I remember doing that exactly. Like a girl that I grew up with, her mom's like, hey, would you make my daughter a shirt? And I was like, yeah. And she brought the shirt over, and I went and printed it, and I like something screwed up, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, now where the hell do I get this freaking shirt she brought over so I can get her the same one back? And that was super annoying, because I tried to do like a 2-color print, but I only wanted to use one screen because I only had the single screen press at the time. So I had to like literally tape off part of the image, and then I don't know, something happened, and I think I blurred the print really bad. But
yeah, I remember Brian, who's been here forever, before I started Upstate, he was he had like a small press in his garage or whatever, and he was doing the same thing, like learning how to print and all that. And he did the same thing. I think he printed like a whole order for like a school, because his mom works at the school, and he realized there was like a good sized pinhole, and he didn't know about spot gun, and he just went out and like rebought all the shirts at like Michaels or AC Moore or whatever, and then like redid the whole thing because of that pinhole. And then I remember when I started upstate and he started working here, I was like, yeah, there's this thing called a spot gun that you just like put chemical in it or acetone and like, and it takes a fucking dot right out. And he was just like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, that's so the first time I ever found out about a spot gun, I was buying some stuff off Kijiji, and my mom came with me, and this guy's like, yeah, I got like this flash, I'll give you some screens. He's like, I got to spare one of these guns, and like he was talking about it, and I was like, I was humming hawing about it. My mom's like, you're gonna hate yourself if you don't buy that thing. And so that was basically how I got my first spot gun.
Who here has a spot gun station, like an actual vacuum station and all that?
I've always thought about it, but I was like, I literally, what I have is in like a quart ink cup with a wadded up piece of paper towel in the bottom. And then when there's a shirt that has a hole in it or a spot on it, we just put the cup in the shirt, like wrap it over the cup and like blow it out. So like the chemical goes into the fucking cup. And the reason why the paper towel is in there is so it doesn't splash back up on the back side of the shirt.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's like,
how about you? What do you have?
Yeah, I'm 100% the same way. We have like a Rubbermaid container that's about the size of a quart, and we do the exact same thing. But I've never stuck anything in it to stop splashbacks.
Even if you really like take up a cut up piece of like t-shirt or whatever and put it in the bottom, it's just so when it hits it, it doesn't like splash back up.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea.
We started with that method, then moved to a shop vac. So you just turn on the shop vac, and we had a t-shirt rubber banded around the end of the hose, and you just, so it stops the splashback. And so you put your shirt over that. But then we finally got a real station. It was probably one of the best things we've ever bought. It's not that much money. It really isn't. And you're like, one of the things that's so great about it, even if you don't turn the vacuum on, is that it has a hook that you hang the gun from, because whenever I would drop the gun, it's an automatic
instant break.
Like we had to keep nozzles around here because all of a sudden I'd hear, oh, fuck. And I knew that like, okay, you drop the gun and the nozzle always breaks, right? And so I had spare nozzles. Well, anyway, that hook that's on that station, nobody's dropped it in years. But the best part is that it has it's almost like a sleeve pallet that size with, with holes in it. And the vacuum, it's metal, like stainless steel. You put your shirt on and then you spray out. And one of the biggest problems with spray out is like the ring that would develop if you don't dry it fast enough. Well, it virtually eliminates that because it dries your shirt within 10 seconds.
Let's talk about that real quick. Is the only time I've ever had that issue with like a ring is on safety shirts. Safety or red.
We get it all the time. If it's like a big enough image.
Yeah. I just feel like if you do it on a safety shirt, it like doesn't go away. Like if you get a spot on a safety shirt, I'm just like, well, there's no point in blowing it out because it's going to make it worse than the actual dot of ink.
Right. So, and of course, comfort colors, you can't spray out. You can if the label is not dyed the same color as the shirt. Like if you look at a comfort color shirt and they threw the whole shirt in there and pigment dyed it, and the label, like the tag, is also that color, the shade of the shirt.
You're going to blow the actual dye out.
Blow the actual dye out. But if the tag is fresh, like it's just natural, I think they are, then you can spray out a comfort colors. It's kind of, you got to luck out because whenever we screw up a comfort colors, we're like, oh,
yeah, you gotta get a new shirt.
Well, I have I collect those, the Dixon, like the flannels or the party shirts. And, they came out with one that was like my favorite one. It was like a camo party shirt, but it's like sublimated, like the actual fabric. It's just all polyester, but it's sublimated. And I got ink on it once and I was like, oh man, I got ink on it. And I went to go blow it out and I blew the ink out and it blew all the fucking ink out of the actual shirt. Oh. And I was just like, God damn it. So it sucks.
What's the most shirts you've sprayed out, like from a job, like actually?
Oh, definitely like a couple hundred.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. We, one of our customers, he sent me a handwritten thing and I had to type out everything that needed to go on the back of the shirt. And it was like a concert tee sort of thing is what they were doing, but it was like a bunch of names and dates of cities in like Canada. And I think I somehow misspelled 2 words. And I think it was 250 shirts. We had to, what we ended up doing was we just like knocked out a couple of the letters or whatever on it and just he transferred them in and he was cool with that. So it really sucked.
Definitely done that before. Yeah, I don't know how many shirts it was, but we had to buy extra spray out solution. Like we ran out. We had to ship more in, like gallons.
Well, the funny thing is like you literally, it sucks to say, and I'll say it because I don't give a shit, but like sometimes you have to look at it as like it's not worth blowing out this many shirts because it's going to cost more in chemical blowing them out than it would be to fucking replace the shirt.
Sometimes, correct.
Yeah.
It's
Other
like, this
times,
isn't worth it.
Depends on the shirt, then it's worth it. So
Yeah.
No.
It's always that job where you do and it's like there's like a pinhole or the screen starts to break down right on the edge of the pallet. So the guy pulling off never sees it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy at the end of the dryer is just like spaced out or not paying attention. And then they catch it. And then you realize you're already like 150 shirts in. And it's like, well, I got to blow out this like super fine, tiny dot because I know I can't give it to the customer that way.
That's what ours was. It was a screen breakdown issue and there were hundreds. I don't remember what it was, but it was bad.
That would suck.
Yeah. But
Yeah, it's not fun.
Yeah, not fun. So, okay, sorry, I interrupted. You were telling us how you made it out to the larger part of your basement, right? And so you grew out of that 10 by 10 room,
Yes.
grew into the basement with a conveyor dryer and a new press, a better press.
Yeah. I mean, if that's what you want to do. Yeah, for sure. And then,
It had micros on it, this new press.
yes, I don't know if you guys have ever seen
It was a
orange-
hammer.
Yeah, if you've ever seen those orange caps press, man, they were like the micros would last about 2 rotations, and then like you're using like tapping the screen every time just to try and get it back to where it was, kind of thing. But so from my basement, like we had a 2-car detached garage, and I guess like I moved from my basement to that would have been about, I'm going to say about 9 years ago.
That's a massive upgrade for me because then you have air, like fresh air. You're in a garage, you have windows, you have air. Like basement.
I had a roommate who lived in the basement, and like when we printed that, it was atrocious because like that dryer didn't vent anywhere other than the basement.
Right.
So what I ended up doing is I went out and I bought like a 30-inch diameter fan, and I would set it at the bottom of the stairs and open the back door. And when I would print, I'd just like, try and blow all the air upstairs. And like, there was those little windows that like, this house was from the 70s. So like you could crack open a window and like, hopefully get a bit of like air movement through the window and going up the stairs. But it was bad.
That's how our first shop was we had that Economax in there, and it had no venting. We just let it vent into the room. So we would print a whole order of shirts and you just see it like coming off of the dryer into the room.
Yeah.
And then the best part about it is when you do a job that's like real thick and you like duck down and you actually see the physical like separation of air where it's like clean air for the first 3 feet and then it's just like fog for the top.
Yeah. We were actually just joking about that the other day.
Really good for your health.
Like, well, frick, actually, by the time I guess when we moved into like the 2-car garage, I think I was in there for maybe a year and a half. And then like Black and White was kind of getting busier. I was hoping things would like take off a bit more. And like I had tried buying an auto, and I got ripped off like really bad. And like I never even ended up. Well, after about a year, I ended up getting a non-usable auto press, and I lost like $15,000.
Did you buy it on your Knigly or whatever?
No, I got screwed by some dude on Digit Smith.
Oh, okay. What was the name of the thing again?
Kijiji.
Kijiji.
What was that? What was that movie with Ben Affleck and was it Jennifer Lopez or whatever? Wasn't it called Geely or something like that? That's all I'm thinking of when you say that. Anyway, how did you get ripped off?
Oh man, this dude, like I bet you there's I don't know, there's a lot of people got ripped off by this dude. Like I don't know if it was like that time period. I think it was 7 or 8 years ago. And this dude's name is Donnie Blackwell. He's out of like Southern Carolina, like South Carolina. And I I don't know. He like was fronting like he had all this equipment. And I think at one point in time, this dude was like maybe semi-reputable, but also possibly had, you know, some drug addictions or something. And like he would send me videos of like, oh, this is the equipment we're sending you, blah, blah, blah. And then like months later, I'm like, hey man, like where the hell's my stuff? And
so you gave him a deposit, I guess.
Yeah, like I think
a $15,000 deposit.
Yeah, like I was straight up trying to buy like a whole shop kind of thing, right? So it was really bad.
And that money's gone. Like you didn't. There was no suing him or anything like this.
So I charged him with fraud, and the police like basically this was my bad. Like they went and like they confronted him like. And they're like, okay, like he said, like he'll ship you your equipment or he'll give you some money back. And I was like, man, I've waited so freaking long. Like if he actually has the equipment, like he has the equipment sitting here is like what the police said, but like they knew what the hell they were looking at. And he just shipped me a bunch of garbage. Like I got a quartz flash that like was mangled. We got a Lawson Omega dryer. And I tell you the truth, that was the only thing that we used that was usable, and we used that thing for about 4 years.
So you got a really expensive used Lawson Omega dryer.
Oh yeah, and the dryer was likely older than me. So, but I mean, whatever. I mean, like that was
it's a learning experience.
It was a very shitty learning experience.
That's all you got to say. Yeah. When shit like that happens is it's a learning experience that makes you seem less like an asshole for getting taken.
Yep. No, I felt like an idiot. I was just like, man, like, cause, yeah, like I had looked like all around and like I had like one deal fall through on me. And then after that fell through, I was just like, screw it. This other dude said he had some equipment. And that's when I went with this dude who ripped me off. So
were you gun shy then on your next press? And did you just go direct to like a manufacturer? How did you get your next press? So I guess from there, I had ended up locally buying a manual press. Like I ended up getting a M&R Sidewinder off of a dude who was like 15 minutes away from me. And I ran that for, I think, about another 6 months. And then we had ended up moving because like at that time, like Black and White was getting bigger. And I was like, I told my wife, I was like, hey, I need more room to get my equipment. And it'd be cool if we had a garage to put our cars in. Cause you know, parking a car outside when it's minus 40 and getting in it in the morning to go somewhere really sucks. So we ended up buying a house with an empty lot next to it. And we had a 3-car garage. And so we moved into that. And I think within the first 3 or 4 months, I had found another auto and I bought a 7-color 8-station Diamondback off of his name's Dave McLean, and
Dave
much more reputable guy than Donnie.
Dave's
and
good.
yeah, and so I had a 7-color 8-station auto. I had that Lawson Omega dryer still, and then I had my manual all in my garage, and like the 3-car garage. And the plan was on the spare lot, we were just going to build like a huge shop, and then you know, as time goes on and people find out you work from home, they don't care what time of the day it is. They want, like, literally, I'd have people be like, hey, it's 11:45. Do you mind if I come grab my shirts? You're like, I'm in bed. Like, and so my wife, like, she got kind of pissed off with that. And I guess during all this, I had a full-time job until 6 years ago, actually. And so
you were still doing the oil field stuff?
Yes. Yeah.
So this was a nights and weekends, like a side hustle is what you were doing
for the first 5 years it was.
Wow.
Well, you were saying you were on and off work. So you had like a decent amount of time off, right?
Kind of. Because what ended up happening is when Black and White kind of started taking off, I had switched jobs. So I didn't have to do a shift like that. So I was always home because I was worried that, like, you know, something would happen and you'd have like a job and you wouldn't be able to get it done.
Right.
So I ended up getting like an office job and, but still in the oil field. And then I did that on and off. And then thankfully they laid me off like 6 years ago. And then like, as soon as they laid me off, within 2 or 3 months, we went out and got our first shop. And then we were in there for a year, and then we moved to the shop we're in now.
Now,
You
I don't want to go too cheesy, like inspirational speaker, or motivational speaker, or whatever.
Yeah, do
like,
it.
Do it. Well, I'm just asking, like, did that change you when you got laid off? Were you like, all right, fuck, I need to like put all my eggs in one basket and like really push black and white?
I was going to ask the same
still
thing.
just doing the same thing, floating?
No, like so at that time, like when I got laid off, it was like it was super rad. I was literally working till 3-4 o'clock in the morning, printing, sleeping for like 3-4 hours.
So you were already busy. Like you were already like, I need to do this anyway.
Yeah, because what I did when I first got my auto is I started doing a bunch of like stupid contract work, and that got me busy. And I had like somehow gotten to like a niche group of people in like our general area. And so we were doing a lot of contract work, and then a lot of these like little other people's like little side hustle clothing brands and whatnot. And that had gotten me to be pretty busy by myself, right? Like it was me doing absolutely everything at that point. So when I got laid off, it was like it was a very, very good thing.
In Canada, when you're laid off, what happens? Is there unemployment? How does that work?
So I mean, I could have claimed unemployment. I'd been there long enough that I got a bit of severance. So I got like $5,000. Like, so when I got laid off, I was like, well, I don't need money. My wife has a very good job. Like she's an accountant. So between the two of us, and we had actually just sold our first house, and like it like all happened at like such a crazy time where we had an abundance of excess money that we didn't have to worry about bills or anything for like quite a while. So it worked out like extremely well timing wise.
Yeah, it sounds like perfect timing. If you're going to, sign a lease on a space and get an auto and say, okay, well, I'm not going to be in my garage anymore. I'm going to go out and have a shop where I've got to get, liability insurance. I got to buy a sign. I have to get plate glass window insurance. I have to, get a separate phone line, heating and cooling, everything, like on and
I love
on
how
and
you
on.
just threw plate glass insurance in there.
Well, I just looked up and I saw
what the fuck?
I looked up and I saw like 20 windows, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to insure those. That sucks.
Do you?
I don't. Yeah. Well, now you're making me think I should call my insurance lady.
It was part of my lease here was a separate, like you have to have, I think it was like a $2 million liability insurance.
He looked at you, the landlord looked at you and was like,
Dylan,
this guy looks like somebody who's going to throw his employees through the window.
Yeah, because we have 16 panes of glass in the front of us.
See, I was trying to beef you up here. You immediately thought I was going to cut you down.
Yeah, you changed it. You were going to cut me down, and then I called you out, and then you flipped it. So that's
all
clever.
along, I was like, look at this strong man.
Yeah, I am. I do go to a trainer, and as you know, I'm on a diet of melted butter.
Kale.
You work out.
But yeah, we have so many windows here all across the front that's part of it. It's a whole separate policy, window insurance. And so, my God, I mean, when you go and you finally say, because I was in my garage, I know what that was like. I mean, it's shared expenses, right? You have internet for the house. Well, you have internet for your business. Well, and
hold on, let's stop on internet for a second, because that's one thing that really pisses me off. Is I have the exact same internet here at the shop that I have at my house, and it's like 4 times as much, and they call it because it's business internet.
Yeah. It's faster.
Right. Well, I called once and I was like, why the fuck do I pay like $200 or whatever it is a month?
Did you say it like
internet?
that? Did you say it like that?
Yeah.
Because
I said
probably.
Why? I said, why it was this nice little old lady too who picked up. She was like, hello, dear. And I was like, why the fuck is my internet 4 times as expensive at the shop? And she was like, oh, because we give you like top-notch service. Like the internet's no faster, but it's just like, if you have an issue, we'll like get right on it and fix it. And it was funny because like I was like, all right, whatever, like I guess that makes sense. And then like 6 months, 8 months later or whatever, we had an issue where like the internet was down, and it was like not just our building, it was like other stuff was down. And I called and I was like, hey, like our internet's down. And they're like, oh, we'll send somebody out like, and this was like Monday. They're like, oh, we'll send somebody out on Thursday. And I was like, no, I spend 4 times as much on internet for my business because you guys said you would get on it and get out here and fix it. Like, you'll be here today. And they were like, all right, we'll be out there later today. And it was just like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, it's the same here. Like we spend more for our commercial
it makes no
internet
sense.
than we do at our house.
It's a racket.
It's the same speed. It is a racket.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? So here you are at your house.
Kellan's like, oh, and here in Canada, internet's free.
I mean, I wish it was free, but we pay $106 for internet and our phone a month.
And your phone? Oh, you don't mean like your iPhone. You mean just like the
shop phone,
digital phone? Yeah.
They just ride moose to each other's places.
So you have, like I said, that was like perfect timing because you're on your, most people when they're in their garage, they're like, screw that. I've got to go pay all of this stuff, separate bills and take on all these, whatever, insurance and all this kind of stuff. So you stay like I did. I stayed in my house for almost 5 years, like it was probably too long because I had an auto in my garage and all this kind of stuff. I had semis backing down our street. We lived on a dead end. It's the only thing that saved me. But I would literally get pallets sometimes in my driveway, and so I was just trying to make it as long as I could. My thought is that until they tell me to stop, like I'm out of my house, whatever.
Yeah.
And then finally we got a spot but looking back, it was true that I got strong in the garage as strong as I could before I went out there in a real shop, with those real bills. And, but at the same time, if I would have gone a little sooner, once you have a shop, that has exposure anyway, everything changed, for us anyway. Like our business that year doubled, just because we went out and people could drive by and see a sign and stuff for the first time. So it was kind of crazy.
Well, it's funny. Like my, I have a real good buddy in Australia at Black Dog Inc. And we had this long discussion too. And I literally, no joke, think he is like one of the best manual printers in the world. Like one of the best manual printers I've ever seen. Like the detail and shit that he has, like he does these crazy process, like halftone prints all the time. And such a good rad dude. And I love talking to him about stuff. But like he was like, I just feel like I don't get any respect in my area. Like he does a lot of work, but like he still has that in the back of his mind, like we all do. Like I feel like I don't get a lot of big corporate clients or stuff because he still was working out of his garage. And he was like, does it change? Like, should I get a bigger space and get my own place? Like, will that change? And I had that. I mean, we were never like in a house, but like definitely when we moved from the small sign shop we were in to like our actual building, I feel like I could actually say like in our warehouse without sounding cheesy. You know what I mean? It's like people always on the internet always think like they're ordering from some place. It's like a fucking warehouse or whatever. And realistically, you're like in your basement, listening to Slayer while you're making mac and cheese upstairs. Like,
yeah.
For me though, it was more than just space and the idea that we're not out of our garage, as far as getting those accounts. It was more that I needed to hire people and I couldn't have them at my house really. Right. That was like, I had a part-time person that would show up in my garage, but you really can't find a ton of people that are going to come and work in your house. You're just not. And so we needed to grow, we needed employees, and we just couldn't pull it off anymore at our house. And so that was a huge part of it.
Yeah. Actually my lead printer, when I first started working in the oil field, he was one of my supervisors, and that was 15 years ago. And he had got laid off, so he was working in town or whatever. And when I was screen printing in my garage just to make extra money on the side, he'd come and clean screens for me for 3 hours a day, and he did that for literally, I think 3 years or 2. I think it was 2 years before I hired him on full time. Before I could afford to hire him on full time, he has been my best and longest running employee currently. So
yeah, it's always good. So you were going to do it out of the garage. Wife didn't want to do it because everybody was wanting to come to the house at all hours. So now you're at the place now that you went from there to there. So I went from my house to about a 1,500 square foot shop. And then after 1 year, that's why I guess our first shop, I shared it with some buddies. They had wanted to start a vinyl company, and we shared that first shop. And then when we moved over to this next shop, we shared it until we had our shop fire. And then when we had our shop fire, they moved out and we moved out while the shop got renoed, and then we came back without them. Now that's something I really wanted to talk to you about, was the shop fire. And we talked about this a couple of years ago. But tell me the whole story on the shop fire.
I mean, the craziest and most annoying part was I was literally at the shop 2 hours before I got a call from the building manager about the shop fire. But like literally we had, I had built an exposure unit and it somehow, for some reason it was plugged into an extension cord and the extension cord had shorted out and caused the fire. And
now I'm going to tell you this, and I don't know if I've told you this before, but ever since you told me that story in Long Beach a couple of years ago, no joke, every single day before I leave work, I unplug everything.
Yeah, we do too.
Like I do that because of you. Like you told me the story, like, oh, you know, whatever. I had a shop, everything was great. And then the fucking shop burned down from an extension cord. No joke. Every day, like if I'm not here and I leave early and someone else is here, their job is to walk around the shop, shut everything off. And if there's anything plugged into the wall, unplug it.
Yeah. No, we still do it. Like, I don't know, man. Like I would swear, like I'm so nervous, like to this day. Like our shop fire was just about 3 years ago in April. And like every day I go home and I'm like, fuck, I hope nothing happens. Like,
yeah.
You know, like we make sure like like straight up, we unplug the pressure washer. We unplug like our little screen cleaner.
Does
I unplug everything.
We do a check at the end of the day too for everything that would be on. We unplug heat presses and that's it. But everything, a lot of stuff remains plugged in. But we have, I'm sure you have a fire department, like you have to get in fire inspection, you know, like annual fire inspection.
Yeah,
we do here too. So we have to have extinguishers and exit signs and all this kind of shit, right? Well, they also come through, and when they do, in order to give you the permit that you can, you know, have an occupancy permit and be open, if you have an extension cord here in our city or county or whatever, they fail you. There's no extension cords allowed, period. Plugged in like that machine, you cannot have that. Like it's absolute fail. And then, so they fail you, and then you have to fix that, like remedy it, you know, you have to run a power to it or something like that. And then they come back and then they pass you. Otherwise you don't get a permit. You can't be open. So do they do that sort of thing, you know, there? I'm
going to not to that extreme of extent. Like obviously we do not plug anything into an extension cord that's like permanently sitting there on that extension cord. But like, you know, obviously like they come in all the time now because they know we've had a fire. So they're here like at least once a year, if not more. And, yeah, like, you know, if you have an extension cord out, they're like, hey, you make sure this extension cord's good. Like you make sure it's unplugged, like when you're done with it. And so, and then our insurance, like, we had, I don't remember what the heck his term or his role was, but to get insurance after the fire, when we got back in our bay, we had to have some guy from our insurance company is called Wawanisa. He had to come in and do like inspect like everything. Like he went through every cable, like thermal imaging, like all the electrical drops like into the equipment to make sure like all the temperatures were on them properly. Like, like space heaters were not allowed in the shop. Like, you know, if like they got cold in an area, it had to be a hard mounted, like, baseboard heater or something. And like, yeah, it's been.
So when you had the fire, you lost everything, right?
No, we did not. But we were out of the building for 11 months. So basically the shop fire was very, centralized to one spot in the back of the shop. And at one point in time, we had changed from using like whatever the spot cleaning material fluid is in the gun to acetone. And the fire was literally right where the acetone pail was.
Oh, geez.
So like we have 22-foot ceilings in our shop, and like the scorch mark up the wall was to the ceiling. And like the entire, like our production area is about 2,900 square feet. Like that entire room was black, like floor to ceiling.
Well, that's why I thought like you lost everything, because I remember seeing pictures and it was just like fucking supercharged. But the thing is, you had to have lost all the stock you had in the shop, right? Because it would have all reeked of smoke. Or
yeah, it was brutal. Yeah, like anything clothing wise was basically like toast. Like the literally the day, like the day before the fire happened. The fire happened at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And that day we had just finished printing like 1,000 shirts, and like they were literally sitting on tables in the shops, not even boxed up yet. And like, we have a flat roof building, and there's the main roof drains going through the building. It snowed like 4 inches over that night. And then it was really warm that day because it was the beginning of April, and the ceiling drains had melted right off of the ceiling, and all the water or snow that was on the roof had melted and poured into the shop for like 8 hours straight the next day.
Oh, I was going to say, because that would have been convenient if it put out the fire.
I mean, that would have been super convenient, but no, the firefighter, like we're in a pretty small city, and the firefighters, they got there like basically. There's 2 fire stations in town, and they each got to one end of the building at relatively the same time, they said. And so they both like entered the building, or were able to enter the building, and they got the fire out pretty quick.
So did your insurance cover it?
Yes. Thankfully, yeah, we had my brother's mother-in-law is my insurance broker, and she made sure we had like really good insurance. And her
That's funny too. Like that would be something I would say is a tip. And like, I know not everybody has this option, but like my sister-in-law is my insurance agent. And like, she came in here, and even her being my insurance agent, she came in here with somebody else from the company or whatever, and did the whole like walkthrough and like tried to talk me into like exactly what I needed and everything else. And because I have such a long building, they worked up the plan. They told me like what monthly payments were and everything like that. And I was like, all right, cool. Like I want to make sure, my equipment's covered, the building's covered, like somebody falls outside, it's covered. Like, I want to make sure I'm covered. And they like wrote up this whole huge document or whatever, and they wanted me to go through and sign. And before I signed it, I looked her right in the face, and I was like, tell me right now how you're going to fuck me. Like, tell me, like, no joke. And I said that right to her. I was like, tell me right now, like, if something happens, how is the insurance company going to screw me over out of getting like it taken care of? Because that to me, like insurance to me is just like most of it is a racket, like whatever. So I asked her, I was like, how are you going to screw me? She's like, well, technically if your building catches on fire, we won't give you the full amount that you need for the building unless the whole building burns to the ground.
Oh my gosh. Hey,
like if you burned, like I said, because my building's so long, like if the middle section caught on fire and it burned that, but it didn't burn both ends, I would only get like a small fraction of my insurance money because the whole building didn't burn down. I was like, well, I'm better off fucking waiting for the firefighters to get here and hand them a 12-pack and say, let it fucking go. Like, let it burn. Like that's the only way I'm going to get my money. And she's like, yeah, technically, like, unless it's a total loss, like you're not going to get your full whatever I was insured for. So I was like, well, what is it going to cost me to get like covered no matter what? Like if anything burns at all, I'm covered for like my whole thing. And she ended up changing the numbers or whatever, but it went from like, it was almost double the price. Like my insurance premium or whatever was almost double to like make sure I was like fully covered.
I have a shop hack for you. As business owners, I'm sure you guys are used to getting like constantly hit up by not just insurance companies, but not just digitizers, but everyone, right? So all day long, people are trying to get to you and sell you stuff. Well, with insurance companies, a lot of them actually, you can say, and you can actually say this for real, but I always, when it's an insurance agent and they're like, hey, I'm so-and-so from whatever insurance, I always go with, my best friend handles my insurance for me, and I'm really happy. And so with you can say your mother-in-law's, what was it? Your wife's mother, right? Wasn't that
my
it?
brother's mother-in-law?
Brother's mother-in-law. Dylan, you've got who did you say
Sister-in-law.
it was? Sister-in-law. So all you got to say is like, oh, my sister-in-law does my insurance. And so shop hack, just say your best friend or your mom or your sister or whatever handles your insurance. Boom, they're gone. They know they have no shot. Like they're going to convince you. Like I'll say something.
So all I'm getting from this conversation is that any time, which is probably 30 times a day, I get a digitizer asking me who does our digitizing. I'm just going to say my mom does it.
My mom does my digitizing.
Just say my mom.
Who does it? It's always that call like, oh, can I speak to your embroidery department? Which we don't have. And then I pick up the phone and I'm like, oh, they're like, oh, who does your digitizing? I'll just be like, oh, my mom does it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a lie, but it's a lie that, I mean, we tell a lot of lies every day, right? 100 lies a day or something like that. Well, when I say like that, I mean like if somebody says, if you're having a bad day and somebody says, how you doing? And you say, fine, or I'm doing good. Well, it's not true, you know? And so all you have to say is, hey, do you want to buy insurance from me? It's like, my mom sells me my insurance.
My mom told me she'll hug me if it burns down.
Yeah. So you're good. You're good. All right.
Well, back to your story.
I was gonna say, well, yeah,
The longest story, like origin story ever. But this is our fault. This is my fault and Dylan's fault, not your fault.
I'm sorry, guys. But yeah, like 100% with insurance, like they were gonna try and screw us like hard.
Yeah.
Because they give you oh frick, what the heck are they called? They're like some sheet that you have to fill out, and I can't remember what the heck it's called.
Audit?
But basically, no, it's like everything.
It's like
you had
what the
in your,
contents.
Yeah, your loss of contents is what it's called.
Right. And side note on that real quick to make your story even longer. That was one thing that my sister-in-law told me was like periodically, like if you get anything new in your shop, just go around and take pictures of like all your walls and everything in your room so that if anything ever does happen, you literally have like photos of like, I owned this, I had this. And it was like, if you have photo proof of that, you can easily look through. Cause like even in your house, like you have so much shit. Like if your house burned to the ground today, would you be able to make an itemized list of everything you had in your house? There's no fucking way. So that's what I mean. Like she was like, take pictures like once a year and just save them on your computer or your phone or whatever.
Dylan's shop burns down and he's like, I had 7 Gauntlet 3s. Here's my pictures.
I had a 100% made of pure gold toilet in the bathroom.
It's like that picture looks like it's from Google. No.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, they tried to screw you. Sorry.
Yeah. So basically the loss of contents thing, we got this adjuster. He's like, get this paperwork done like as soon as you can. And we sent it into him and he's like, oh, you have more content in your shop than what you're insured for. So we're automatically only paying you half of what your insurance is. And I was like, oh God, like now we're screwed. And so what happened was at this point, brother's mother-in-law, she's married to an adjuster, his father-in-law. And so he's a 35-year insurance adjuster. He came in and he acted as an insurance advocate, we'd call it. And basically at that point, he took over absolutely everything that we sent to our insurance company. And he took like our claim that we would have maybe got $125,000 for, and we ended up getting like close to 3. So
that's awesome.
It helped out a lot. Cause I mean, like we were like from the time of the fire, like we went from 2 autos. Like we had a Diamondback that I'd originally bought and a Sportsman. We went from 2 autos down to, we couldn't print for almost a month and a half before like we were still in the shop. We had all the equipment and everything still. Like thankfully none of our equipment got damaged other than like smoke damage. And what we ended up doing was a couple of my guys, like they spent the better part of 2 months, like with a toothbrush, scrubbing our presses, our dryer, like absolutely everything. And, then we finally found a place to move into, and we were without autos. Like, and we had an 8 Chameleon manual press, and we ran that for 11 months before we moved back.
So you're saying shop. You had a temporary location?
Yeah, we moved thankfully we moved right across the parking lot to another shop.
So temporary location, 11 months or something, while this place you're at right now got rehabbed or fixed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was crazy.
So anyway, you got your money, you fixed the shop back up. Obviously it's super clean and nice now.
Yeah. No, I think the building owner is like probably quite happy that we did it. Cause like the building was from like, I think our building's like late 70s and it wasn't
got
not
fully
nice
renoed.
shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So is that just where you're at now then? Like you basically got everything back in and you're good to go and you guys have just been growing ever since?
Yeah. Like, I guess to tell you the truth, from the time of the fire, we have grown probably over 100% what we were. Like we've easily doubled or tripled our business since the fire. Because what happened was when we had the fire, like any of the contract work we were doing, we couldn't do anymore. So we just stopped working with them and never brought them back on. Mm-hmm. And that was probably the best decision we ever made as a company, was to stop contract printing.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that crazy how some work that you think is good and is paying the bills and you do, ends up that you're not making that much off of it. And if it went away, it opens up, opportunity for stuff that's higher profit margin, because we were sort of the same thing. Like we started off a little more balanced or more weighted towards contract, because when you first start out, a contractor can give you a whole lot of business. And so that's how we were. And I always knew though that I wanted to shift it and be more retail as we grew. But it's so weird because you get trapped sometimes into that work because you're so busy with it. And so you don't have time to go like try and biz dev other stuff, and so all of a sudden now that contract work went away, and it was as a blessing, I guess, really.
Oh, 100%. Like that, to tell you the truth, one of our main contract customers still contacts us being like, so you guys ready to work with us again? And like, just like not to be a dick, but we just don't even respond to their emails anymore. It's just like,
you can send them your updated pricing.
Yeah. Here you go.
And say,
I had that discussion with somebody the other day, and I hate talking shit about contract because I know there's a lot of friends that have shops that do like a ton of contract, but like for us and our model and the way our company is, it was like the best thing we ever did was turn down contract. Like same thing. We did it and it was nice for a while because it was like good money, like good. I don't want to say good money, but it was nice to get a bulk check at the end of every month or whatever. And like, be like, oh shit, like this is nice. Like I don't have to buy blanks with this. I don't have to do anything with this. This is just like mine. But the problem is that you work so hard at getting your name out there and your branding and everything. And then you get all these customers that want to work with you. And then you're like, well, I have you on, I could do it today, but I actually have a ton of stuff that like my contractor sent me that they need by Friday. So we ended up like constantly putting our own work on the back burner. And I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I want to just promote ourselves. I'm just going to take the leap. And then like one day I just kind of like told all of them, like, we're done working with you. Like, we're not being a dick or whatever, but it was just like, we don't want to work with you anymore. We don't want to do this kind of stuff. But it was definitely the best thing. Like, it was the most nervous I was, but it was the best thing we ever did, because right after that, we just started having so much more time and effort into our own customers. And then like, I feel like the company just like super grew from there. It was like, now everybody knew that they were going to get taken care of and there was no other like shit work to worry about. But someone else told me later on, which I wish I kind of did at the time, was to just up your prices for the contractors. Right. Don't like fire them, but just be like, oh, well, we can't do it for this anymore. We need to do it for, like, if you were making $1 a print or whatever it is, when most time it's not even that. But if you were like, I'm making $1, like we can only do like $1.50 or $1.75 now. So and if they take it, then cool. Like, you just made way more money. But if they're like, no, we can't do that, then they left. You didn't like fire them. Yeah. So,
I mean, what I did was pretty similar. Except for the fact that I made 2 contract price lists. I had one for that kind of stayed close to the same, went up slightly, and I called it preferred. And then I had one that went way up because
the people you didn't want to work with at all.
Yeah. Because there's some contractors that are really clean. Like, they give you POs, the shirts arrive on time, they give you art, it's hassle-free, they pay on time.
Decent turnaround.
It's great, right? And there's other contractors that are a mess. And so you have 2 price lists, and one was called preferred, and we give that to the ones that we wanted to work with. And so, and if they really want to work with you and you up your prices, they'll stay, because they know they're getting superior quality or service or turnaround or whatever it is, and so they'll stay. So I think it's, they say 80% of your profit comes from 20% of your customers. And I think that's that 80-20 rule, right? And I think it's
80-20 rule is super true. Definitely.
So sometimes you have to cut some out though, in order to, and by doing it with pricing, it seems like the best way, because the ones that you want to work with and they want to work with you, they stick around. So maybe that's the way to do it.
Well, one thing I want to talk about was, I think it was Long Beach or whatever, where you ended up buying that Screen Systems screen cleaner. Mm-hmm. How was that thing?
I mean, like, we're small enough that, I mean, we use it absolutely every day. The thing works great. Like, I mean,
well, just tell me, like, I don't know. I've never seen one run. Like, what does it do? I guess is it just, it's like a washing machine dip tank, isn't it?
Kind of. So yeah, it's about twice the size of a normal dip tank, or like those CCI, or like those Ryonet black ones. It's about twice the size of that. And basically it just has let's call it a sprinkler spout in it. And it just like, kind of goes and kind of like just goes back and forth. But like you put the screen in there, like ink side facing towards this spout, and you can set the time that it cleans for. And all the unit that we have, all it does is cleans the ink off the screens, just to save from anybody playing with the chemicals and all that kind of stuff. But typically, like white ink, you're about 2-3 minutes. So like what we'll do is, like when you tear down a job on the press, someone just like throws one in there automatically, and then as somebody's like kind of walking by, you kind of just keep the rotation going. And I don't know, it's for the price point that it was, and like the size of the shop that we have, like the space wise, like it's been super awesome to have. I'd love to have something that cleans the emulsion, but I mean, we take it from there. Like after we do any job, we store our screens for at least a week minimum, just in case you get like a reorder or whatever. And so we'll just clean them, and then we just rack them for a week, and then we'll just dip tank them and clean them out from that point.
Mm-hmm. Now, your shop is one of those ones I always look at where you're kind of always looking for like a shop hack or shop trick or something, and you have like really clean, like organizational things. Is that something that like you do, or is it someone else in the shop that's constantly looking for shit like that? Just to keep the shop clean, or? Yeah, I mean, you just always have like good, I don't know, like your ink wall, it seems just like super fucking clean and organized. So
Steve, Steve, my head printer, he is 100% OCD. And, but I mean, I love it. Like, our shop, awesome. Like our shop, you could literally like walk in there any day of the week, like bring a customer in there any day of the week. And you could be running like a couple thousand pieces, and that shop's going to look as clean that day as the day we clean it every week. So, like literally Monday mornings we come in and we spend 3 to 4 hours cleaning the shop, and there's like 5 of us. That's what we do. Like, we straight up vacuum all the floors, wash all the floors. We wipe down all the equipment, and then service all the equipment as well, like on Mondays. And then like if anytime you're done with an ink, like that thing gets like wiped and put back up on the wall. So it's pretty cool, I guess, awesome. For cleanliness wise. Like when I worked by myself, it was a whole other story, but there's not enough time to like try and print. And
well, it's nice. It's nice when you have employees that really want to keep the space clean, and you're not like the boss pointing fingers and like yelling at them to keep it clean all the time.
Steve will literally yell at people if they don't keep it clean. So it's good. He's not afraid to speak his mind. So it's fantastic.
So how bumming are you that there's no trade shows happening?
I mean, we probably joke about it at least once a week that, we missed. Normally, like being in Canada where we are, it's like that's your like, I mean, I've been to ISS like 7 years in a row. This is the first year in the past 7 years that I haven't gone. And it's like, that breaks up the monotony of the shitty weather that we get. So it's pretty lame.
Yeah.
But they just made the traveling rules. If you travel outside of Canada, you have to get a negative COVID test before you're even allowed to get an airplane to fly back. Then when you get back, they make you go into some government quarantining area and get a negative COVID test before they'll even let you leave and go home and finish quarantining for 14 days. So
it's not worth it.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So yesterday I was, Dylan, did you have you said something funny.
I was going to talk about something. Yeah, I had a knock joke.
Let's hear your joke.
Well, no, I was going to talk about how when I like met you in real life at Long Beach, and we were staying in basically a printer frat house that year.
It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. How many people ended up staying there that weekend? Because
there was over 20. Like I think it was 22 or 24 people.
But I think that was the people who actually like paid
maybe
for a room. But then we ended up having people like sleeping in their cars in the parking area, and then like people were sleeping on the floor. And dude, it was insane. It was super fun, but like it was crazy. Like it was nice because you would just walk into the house and there'd be like a ton of people just talking shop in a house. Like we just got done talking to a ton of people all day at the show, and then we get back to the house and it was just like a ton of people. And there was like something like whatever, like 25 beds in that house.
Yeah,
and I feel like they put them together from like shit mattresses and like straw, like before we got there.
that was a pretty interesting place to stay.
Yeah. All I remember about that house was they had like just finished drywalling like before we got there or doing something. And like drywall dust was everywhere in our room. Like I brushed up against the wall. I had like white all along my back and like my socks. Like I remember Brian would like get up in the morning and like he'd be in his boxers and he would put his boots on to go to the bathroom because he didn't want his feet to get covered in drywall dust.
Yeah, it's pretty gross.
So I just wanted to bring that up because I thought that was really fun, but really weird at the same time.
Yeah, I don't think I'd do that again. I mean, because
we didn't.
So I mean, I started going to ISS, like I said, like 7 years ago with Josh Keane and his partner there, Joey, and we did that. So it was the 3 or 4 of us the first year. Then the second year I brought Steve, and then it was me, Josh, and like 3 or 4 other people in a house. And then the next year there was like me, Josh, like Andrew from Nar City. Then there was 2 Canadian other printers, Electric Clothing. Her name's Amanda. And then my buddy Caleb from, they just started a shop like just in the past year. It's called Bread Station. And they were all with us. And then we stayed in that house for 2 years. And then we did that big thing with the 22 people. And then after that, we're like, nope.
Yeah. Well, I remember I was talking to Andrew from Nar City and he was like, I was talking about getting a Airbnb or something. He's like, no, I think there's space still. Josh is like, still has like found a bigger house or something. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And then we like paid him for like a room. And I remember getting there and it was just like fucking crazy. Like there was so many people and we were like, I'm glad we got there when we did to like get the room that we had. Cause I think Andrew, his crew ended up staying like under the stairs in that like Hobbit room that was only like 4 feet tall.
Yeah. And then I guess, me, Steve and Michael, like we were in a freaking room that like you guys had to walk through to get to your room. Like,
yeah,
so it was like right off the kitchen. It's like, there's 2 doors and everybody had to walk through the room. So
right.
It was awesome.
I remember that. Yeah. And then the next year, I had talked to Matt at Relentless and we were like, dude, let's just get a house together. Like just us and you guys. And we ended up getting like a super nice house. I think we spent like double what we paid the year before or whatever, but it was like a super nice, like guest house behind this other like really nice house. It had like fruit trees and shit. And like, they were like super nice people that lived there, like this old couple. And they were like all about us being there and like just good people. So it was definitely fun both years, but it was a different experience having your own house versus a kegger house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So Andy, back to whatever you were saying.
Yeah, my story isn't as fun. It's not as frat boy like party fun as yours. But I was just going to say that we were on Clubhouse yesterday, and in like the screen printers hang, and I brought up the fact that we messed up an order this week, and I also talked about how we are going about fixing it, and not just fixing the order, but then doing something extra to say, you know, sorry for the inconvenience. We're sorry that happened. And here's a present, you know, just to try and make up for it. Right. And so my idea was that we print for a place that makes cookies here in St. Louis. They have several locations. It's called Hot Box Cookies. And we do their shirts. And we made a deal with them where they can deliver a dozen cookies to a customer of ours if we screw up, right? Well, I mentioned that yesterday that we're going to start doing that, and then Dylan shit all over it, like this idea.
I waited for him to finish his whole story, and then I fucking tore him down.
And he said that if I would have done that for like his wife, she would have died, like a food allergy.
Well, I
or
was just
something
saying, like I said at the end, I was like, well, do you find out if that customer has any kind of like dietary restriction? Because nowadays it's such a big thing. I know it sucks to say, but like my wife, like has issues where if she has like any kind of dairy or any kind of gluten, like she has like actual like issues. So I was like, knowing her, if she would have ordered shirts from Andy and they got messed up, and then not only did they get messed up, but when she got the new order, there was like a thing of cookies, which in Andy's eyes is like, oh, I got you cookies to like make up for it. I'm sorry. She would have freaked the fuck out because it would have been, she would really want to eat those cookies, but couldn't eat those cookies because of her issues. So I feel like that would just make it way worse, where she'd be like, oh, it's nice that they sent us cookies, but fuck these guys. I can't eat these.
Right. So I would have made it worse.
So I tore him down.
So he did. He tore me down, and which is okay, because that's what, when you have an idea, then sometimes it's not a good one, and you have
and your best friend has to step in and be like, hey, bud.
If your friend really loves you, they'll tell you the truth, and they'll just say, look, that idea sucks. Yeah. And so, I mean, maybe, so I was just curious, like, do you do anything extra when you goof an order? Dylan doesn't goof orders. We all know this. We've heard
Never
it enough.
happens.
But when you goof an order, what do you do?
Honestly, I guess like the first thing would be to offer them a discount of some sort. But we've never went like, I guess, above and beyond and bought people presents for like hanging out with us. Like, seriously, our number one customer, I hate to say it, like the biggest screw up we've probably ever had was for him. And like, the dude is so chill. Like once again, this is the customer that I screwed up and we had to spray out the backs and heat transfer letters onto. He let me make his artwork, and I misspelled his company name. His company name is called Evil Empire, and I just spelled Evil Empire. And we printed this on, I think it was 285 long sleeve shirts. And we didn't notice, like, not at all. Like, I made the artwork, I imaged the screens, Steve printed all of them, like Drew caught them at the end of the dryer, packed them up, shipped them to him. He literally sold some of these things. And somebody was like, your company name spelled wrong in these. And we're like, shit. And
and that's like ultra embarrassing for him too, like giving away shirts. And then
100%.
Yeah.
And it sucked because they had like a 6-color discharge underbase front on them. And what we ended up doing was we went to a tailor and got the sleeve removed and bought new shirts and had them tailor a new shirt on every one of these, or a new sleeve on every one of these shirts.
That was cheaper than just buying new shirts and reprinting it.
Yeah, we didn't want to redo that discharge underbase.
That's like the same thing with the spot gun. Is it cheaper to reprint or to spray out all of them? And here you decided to actually cut the sleeve off and put a new sleeve on. Yeah,
we just weighed the time that it took going into the print. So what it like, because really all we had to do was we bought half of the shirts because we didn't have to rebuy them all, because they took both sleeves off of both shirts, or off of the one shirt, and then only sewed
I've
one.
I've never heard of anybody doing that ever.
It's genius, actually. It's really smart. Like, hey, like sleeveless shirts are in. I would have talked them into just taking the sleeves off and being done with it.
He bought the sleeveless shirts after we took them off. So like, we never wasted any shirts. Like the shirts we bought to fix the other shirts, he ended up buying them and we printed on them anyways. So it was ridiculous, but yeah, like we were, maybe a week behind getting them the shirts, but like, yeah, it worked out well. But I've never thought of like getting customers gifts and stuff. That's probably not a horrible idea. Like a customer like that, like we get them Christmas gifts every year for like working with us and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if that's as good as like, hey, thanks for putting up with our shit through the past year, but
yeah, last year was pretty good. Like I know a local girl that she's actually the home ec teacher in our school that also makes cookies on the side, like really nice, like super detailed, decorative cookies or whatever. And I told her, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about getting cookies for like some of my best customers. Are you up for the job or whatever? And I think she was thinking it was going to be like 2 or 3 dozen cookies. I ended up giving her like 15 customers, like 15 or 20 customers. And I wanted like a couple dozen of each. And she was like, oh my God. And I was like, it's fine. Like, charge me what you're going to charge me. As long as I can ship them out by like December 15th. I'll be fine. And she ended up getting them to me all on time, but they were super awesome. Like I had a couple lumber yards that are like really big customers where like she like airbrushed like wood patterns on the cookie.
Oh,
and then
cool.
like she like put their logo on all of them, like hand frosted.
Wow.
Here I
so it was
am
pretty cool.
thinking I'm really special, and Dylan gave me a thoughtful gift of cookies with my.
You got cookies. I sent you cookies.
Well, I did, but you got 15 other fucking people like the same. Like they got airbrushed bullshit.
Don't give me that bullshit. You sent me a cake and you messed up and sent me 4 of them.
I didn't mess up. They did. You threw it in the trash.
So here I thought I was getting like custom fucking cakes from you, and I got somebody else.
It wasn't just any cake. It wasn't just, I sent you a cake. That sounds cheap. Like I sent you the world's best gooey butter cake.
Well, it was
from St. Louis.
like St. Louis special gooey cake or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't think I ever told you this either, but like I gave one of them to Chris, and Chris took it home, and him and his wife really liked it. And then like she went out and found the recipe and tried to make it like
Oh, really?
the next week. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So it wasn't as good.
Has it got like a molten chocolate kind of center in them?
It wasn't. It's like molten-y, but it was like it's like white. I don't know what it's made of.
It wasn't chocolate at all. Yeah.
No. It tasted like a sugar cookie to me. Like,
oh, wow.
It was weird consistency, but it was good. It was super rich though.
I need to do more thoughtful gifts for my customers. I'm like, here's a $100 gift card to a restaurant. Thank you for shopping with us.
That's good now, though. That's what we did. So this year with COVID and all the restaurants that have been getting so screwed, we bought gift cards, or we sent like there's this one that had converted. They were a pizza restaurant and they converted to frozen pizzas, and so we sent frozen pizzas to everyone. Like to good, the customers that instead of like cards or whatever this year, or candy or something like this, we sent stuff locally. We sourced locally from restaurants that were having a hard time, and we bought from them. And that's what that gooey butter was from. They had to close. They had 3 locations. This gooey butter cake was from Russell's. They closed one location by our house. And then they built out a little extra of one of their other locations, and they had to actually, thinking that, if they have, because they were at 25% capacity. So they built for more like square footage so they could have more people. And then they got shut down completely. And so I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks. And so I bought all those gooey butter cakes from them.
I just think it's nice to let your really good clients know that you're appreciative of them. And I know it's like just like cookies and it doesn't cost like a ton, but like the thing is if you try to make it something custom, like you didn't just give them like a Starbucks, like $15 Starbucks card, because they know you're just like going down the list of like, oh, I need 20 Starbucks cards to send out. It was like, we tried to make it like custom. Like the year before we did like boxes with like our branded stuff in it. And like, I think I probably did put a gift card in there, but it was like other stuff that was ours that we made specifically to like give them. But this year I was like, I'm going to do cookies, which was like an experience for sure, because not only did she bake the cookies, but she like bubble wrapped every cookie individually.
They were individually wrapped, in plastic, like
wow.
this.
So they wouldn't break. Like there wouldn't be like a dozen cookies and like 5 were broken. They were all bubble wrapped.
That's right. So they were in plastic, their own plastic packages, and then they were bubble wrapped inside.
Every single cookie was bubble wrapped.
Yeah, none of them broke. They were full, solid cookies.
The best part about it's definitely not the best part, but like there are 2 big customers of mine that I never heard anything from. Like everyone else sent me like, oh, love the cookies, whatever. And there were 2 that I just didn't hear from. And I was like, oh, like, I mean, they probably got them, but they just like didn't say anything. And then like January, like 20th, they both hit me up and were like, oh, thanks for the cookies. And I was like, did you just get those cookies? And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, I sent those over a month ago.
Oh my God. Yeah. Wow.
But like the post office was just so like shitty and delayed at Christmas time that it took a month for them to get there. And I was like, I'm sorry, like don't eat those. Like, and they were like, no, it's really cool. Like they're super rad cookies. Like I'm glad that we got them, but they were just like old as fuck at that point. Like you couldn't eat them.
That sucks.
I love cookies. I have a cookie situation. I'll eat all the cookies in front of me.
Are you the cookie monster?
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to give an update, a Twilio update. Last week we talked about Twilio. It's an integration
phone thing? The texting?
Texting. Yeah. So we run Monday, and and also now missive. Tony kind of talked about front on our last episode, I think. And so that front missive is a lot like front. And we finally, Tony inspired me to like that. After that episode, I came in on Monday. I'm like, look, we have to finally get everybody missive and make this happen. And so we went about it, and we had a trial version going, and we just paid for it all. And so now we've got missive. And then another guy, Alan, he is from Proper Print Shop, and he's in El Paso, Texas. And we did a Zoom call with him because we had set up. He's the one who recommended a while back Twilio, and Twilio is just that it's an integration that allows you to text like a proof or a link to a proof or a link to an invoice instead of emailing. So, currently we were emailing everything. Like we were emailing a proof, we were emailing invoices, and now we can text to those things. And already, like the very first text we sent a proof out with, and we're figuring out like the wording to it. But the very first one, like they responded to immediately. And we're so not used to that. We're so used to sending an email and then waiting. Yeah, waiting. And so like they responded within a minute to this text. And so I'm like, oh, we already knew. So we committed to Twilio, bought it.
I think I'm gonna do it too. And it was funny because like I feel like everybody listens to these episodes, and I love when they come out on Monday because throughout the week I get like sprinkled like messages of people being like, I listened to the episode and you were talking about this one thing, and I know the answer for you. Like I've solved your problem. And so many people always send me stuff about like me writing on fucking notepads. But I got a ton this week because of Tony's talk about like all the things you can add into Google and all this other stuff. So like I got to look into a bunch of different stuff that people sent me, and they were just like, oh, you got an add-on for this and you could do this. And
yeah, I like that. I've just finished watching Tony's episode, I think last night. And
it took all week to listen to.
It definitely died. I've been exercising at night, and my daughter will come downstairs and like hang out with me. And she's like, "This guy's been on the screen like every day, like this whole week." I was like, "It's just taking a little while to get through this episode." I'm sorry. So,
no, it was a really good one, and Tony's
sure.
a really good dude. But it was just funny that like how it worked out.
You know how he's super proud that he was the longest. Like he set a record as being the longest episode. Should we let that stay, like that record, or should we kill it right now? Like he only gets to be the longest episode for like, I guess it would be 2 weeks.
Well, the funny thing is we were so nervous about it because, we're humble and we were like, nobody's going to want to fucking listen to us for like 4 hours or whatever. And then we got more comments on the fact of how people loved how long it was. And we've gotten from anything else. They were like, oh, I wish it was longer. And I was like, dude, there's no way. Like we literally talked for 4 hours.
I probably could have kept watching, man. Like, like after I was done that, I was like, I felt dumb. I was like, this guy, like he's smart. And like, I was just sitting there listening. I was like, the amount of stuff that like that dude knew, I was just like, well, I don't know how the hell I'm running a company right now. This is ridiculous.
You can't let Tony listen to this. It's going to go to his head.
I'm sorry, Tony.
Yeah, I love Tony. Tony's one of those guys where he's pretty close. He's like probably one of the closer shops to me. He's in Rochester, which is like 2 hours, 15 minutes or whatever. So he's like my go-to buddy that like I hit him up a lot being like, what are you doing with this or whatever? Because if I needed to, I could just travel there and like talk about shit or whatever. So yeah, I'm really glad we ended up talking to him. Who's
your go-to buddy for what did you say? Just you repeat that for me.
You're my go-to. You're my, in my black book, you're my,
no, I
you're
heard
my
you.
number one.
I heard you the first time. That's cool.
But
cool.
He's closer. I'm not fucking driving to St. Louis with my press question.
No, that's cool. Whatever. What's next? I thought, are you still drinking the coffee or you switched over to tea?
I drank the coffee and now I'm pounding this delicious Gold Peak.
And you guys like that coffee?
I did. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well, I can't lie to you. I know that I just said I lie, or people lie 100 times a day earlier in the episode.
Liar.
But I can't lie to you. This is actually, I put beer in here. I don't know.
Very nice.
I don't know if they serve beer at Tim Hortons, but
no, but they could.
Yeah, they could.
We
Did
were
you ever
just hoping to get a Tim Hortons sponsorship after this episode.
Right? Like that's what I was aiming for. I was like, if I send everybody a Tim Hortons cup, we can make this happen. You couldn't make it happen for the green tea there?
Come on, Tim.
Of course, you being Canadian, you have seen the movie Strange Brew.
Man, it's like seriously, we joked about getting the Great White North banner that I should have put up behind me when we did this. My buddies are like, because I have like a group chat going with Scott Devine from the Devine Shirt Company, Andrew from Nar City, Ranger from Norman Roscoe, and then Josh from Thread Monster. And we were like, what should I do? Like, how should I set this up? And like, get the Strange Brew banner. I just thought it'd be funny, and then I got lazy.
You should have, yeah. So what is next for you? What's you're back in your shop, everything's good, but what's your plans now for expansion?
I mean, honestly, that's what I was going to ask you guys about. That was going to be my question for like.
Well, we'll answer it afterwards, I guess.
Okay. Well, I think I told both you guys we ordered the 14 color Cobra in December, and it's supposed to show up in April. So that's our next big move. We're going.
You have space for that right now?
We have been spending some time rearranging the entire shop. Like we have to move absolutely everything. Like I bought a used Sprint dryer because we only have a mini Sprint right now. So I bought a 60-inch Sprint dryer. So we got to go pick that up in about a month from another printer out in Vancouver. It's about 14 hours away from me. And Steve and I are going to fly out there, grab it, and drive it back. And then, so we got to get that installed. We got to move like our Sportsman and get the Cobra in place and rearrange. Like we've moved our washout, we moved our dark room. Like we have to move all of our electrical. We'll have to move our gas line, venting, like absolutely everything. So it'll be crazy.
Yeah.
What was your thinking behind choosing a Cobra and a 14 color one?
Well, I liked the fact that you had ran yours and like you'd been liking it. I guess I'd kind of talked to you a little bit about it. And price point was one thing. And then reason we went 14 colors over something else is, well, when we were thinking about it, 14 colors is the absolute biggest press that we can get in our shop. And that gives us literally 5 feet of walking room on either side of the press. And
more than I got.
And so we were basically like, if we're going to do this, we might as well get the biggest press we possibly can. Because like right now, like, we get a 7-color job. You're like, you got a flash in there on like, because we just have the 8-color Sportsman. It's like, if it's a spot color, that's going to take you forever, like in rotations. And we just wanted to cut down, time spent printing silly jobs.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in that if you can afford it and you're not like, getting a huge loan or whatever, try to get the biggest, best thing you can get in your space, because more often than not, you're going to buy something that's like, even like an 8-color, you buy it and then you're like, fuck, I really wish I had a 10-color or a 12-color or a bigger dryer to handle this job or, whatever. And it's like, I feel like if you have the space and you can afford it, just like get the bigger one.
Yeah, we lucked out pretty huge. We ended up, there's 3 M&R, 3 companies that whatever they sell for M&R. They sell them as like their presses that the company sells. And we ended up, Chris Tanner, he's like, he'd told me who the 3 companies in Canada were. And I was like, okay, I'll just get a quote from them all. And one company came in literally $20,000 cheaper than the other 2. And I was
Dang.
like, how the hell did this guy do this? And he basically came back to me. He's like, I'm on the other side of Canada. We're never going to have to deal with you. He's like, you're going to get this press. We'll get it set up. He's like, you have any issues? He's like, you're going to deal with M&R. You're not going to deal with me because I'm not going to really do anything for you. And then the local, like there's a company like 45 minutes away from me who they also sell M&R stuff. They randomly, like the vice president of the company had like found me on Instagram like the day after I had told this dude we were going to go with it. And he messaged me and he's like, or he called me and I had told him, I was like, we just signed a deal with these guys that we're getting a Cobra. And he's like, well, why aren't you going with us? I was like, you literally came back with book price. Like you didn't even try to sell me a press. You just were like, this is what M&R says we should sell it to you for. And he's like, we'll beat that other guy's quote by 4%. And I was like, fuck, like that's $6,000 Canadian. Like so we ended up getting the 14 color press for the price you could get the 12 color Cobra for. And I hate to say it, like our Canadian dollar sucks. That press is, I think on paper, I got it like sitting right here, is something like 102,000, and it cost me 150 because the Canadian dollar sucks so bad.
Oh, wow.
But fortunately enough, like we'll be able to pay for it with cash when it gets here. So that's really cool for us, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, and like you said, it's a 14 color, and that just makes you go fast because as you know, and like what we know here at our shop is the largest press we have is a 12 color. And really it's our weakest link right now we're under pressed. Like we have 3 autos, but it's not enough because the max color we have is 12, and that just slows you down. And I know it now more than ever. I knew it, I guess, a year ago or two, but that was the beta. The beta was the 12. They didn't even have, they didn't even know if they were going to make a 14 color at the time.
Oh, wow.
But,
now they might make a bunch of different options.
now they extended it all the way to 18. And so we've got it in the works where that is our weakest link because, we're fast everywhere else, but there are times where we are just crammed on a press and unfortunately have to go around twice. And it just kills you. It essentially takes twice as long to print a job. And so that is a good, what Dylan just said is that, you get an 8 color thinking that it's going to be great. And for a lot of shops it is, because maybe your work is 1 and 2 color, but pretty soon you realize as far as taking on jobs and as it seems like now, for whatever reason, now more than ever, there's just all these jobs coming through that are, like 6, 7, 8, 9 color jobs. And it just, we're not as fast as we could be with it. And we have to be so creative. Like we have to be so good on how our print orders, we can't just throw it up there and it doesn't matter. We've got to be exact. And so I don't know, we're under pressed, and that's our next move for us for 2021 at some point, which is crazy because I've heard that press builds are something like 18 weeks, 20 weeks, like you just said.
We're 16
weeks, and
they're like half the staff with COVID. So,
right.
Yeah.
But
it's hard to get those out.
It's hard. But so we're thinking of, which is crazy to think that if we placed a press, like an order right now, we wouldn't even have it until like summer, like July or whatever. But yeah, that would be our move this year is probably sell we have an 8, 10 and a 12. And so we'd probably sell the 8.
The 10 or the 8.
Yeah. Probably sell the 8.
Would you get a bigger Cobra or would you do like a G?
Bigger Cobra. Yeah. Because I like certain things about the Cobra over the Gauntlet. I think, I've never run a Gauntlet, so I really don't know, but I know I've run.
I honestly feel like if I would have waited longer, I would have just gotten the 14 color Cobra.
Wow. Yeah. I've literally never bought a new piece of equipment. That's kind of true. I'm the kind of guy who I guess as I was growing my company, I bought and sold equipment to buy better used equipment. And that was sounds like Scott, like Screen Kings, that's what he does too. Yeah. Like that, I in recent years, I've had to stop doing it just for lack of I don't have room to put equipment. I don't have time to try and sell it. But that's how I went from shitty manuals up to what we have now.
I don't have anything against people doing that. I just feel like if you're going to do it, you need to have the technical knowledge to know how to fix that shit. Well, if you're a guy who doesn't know how to fix anything and you buy used equipment, I feel like you're going to be screwing yourself, or you take the extra money you saved and you hire a tech to come out and fully go through it and set it up again. We've
been very fortunate with every piece of equipment we bought. And then I don't that Tony Pernicello that I was talking to you about a little while ago there, Dylan, the dude who runs Screen Print Source out in New Jersey, he made a massive mistake in his life. He gave me his cell phone number. And so anytime we have an issue, I'll just call him up and I think in January, our Sportsman, the company we bought it off of, they were a spray tack company. And they're literally he told me when he got it, he's we literally bought 4 extra PLCs for this thing because they start sticking and basically the relays stick and the press will go up or something and then it won't come down. That started happening. And like we had PLCs just sitting around. I called Tony and he's like, "This is all you got to do." He's like, "Rip the top off the PLC." He's like, "You rip out the relay board and you just slap a new relay board in there and boom, press is working like perfectly fine ever since." So he's a pretty handy dude to have around. And Steve and I are fairly handy individuals. Like if stuff breaks, like
Right.
thankfully, like all the pneumatics on our equipment is all SMC stuff and there's literally an SMC dealer 10 minutes from my shop. So I order the stuff and they'll have it there in like a couple of days if it gets that bad. Most of the time, anything that's ever broken, they've had in stock. So it's been super handy.
That was something I loved about having our old dryer, and it was an old Sprint, but like everything on the inside was like parts I could get at Granger. And it was like, I could just order a part at Granger, or the belt that runs the shaft that runs like the squirrel cage fan and the actual belt and all that stuff is a belt off of like a 1990 something Honda Civic. So you can go to, it's not actually like a Civic belt, but that's what it is. It's the size that fits that car. You can go to Napa and just be like, "I need a Honda Civic belt." And they're like, "Okay." And you bring it and put it right on your Sprint dryer. We
had the same thing recently happen. One of the main 12-inch blower belt or something like that had separated or something, and we ripped it off. And there's a place called Greg Distributors. It's a Canadian company, and you walk in there and walked out with a belt like the same day and just replaced
hand them the
belt.
belt, and they just do the size, and it's like I said, it was just like a Honda belt. And they're like, "Oh yeah, we always have these on the shelf."
Yeah, exactly.
It's just funny because it's you expect to have to call the parts department and get this like crazy thing, and it's like, no, it's a Honda belt.
I will do anything to avoid buying stuff directly from M&R. It is, it's so expensive. And then I have to airship everything to Canada. Right. So it's like,
that is the nice thing about buying brand new stuff is, like I said, we went used for quite a while in the beginning, but I think it was just out of necessity. Like I couldn't afford anything brand new. So we kind of went through the ranks of used stuff till we could afford nicer stuff, till you can afford nicer stuff. And then when we finally bought a new press, I was like, I'm never not buying brand new ever again, because when we got it brand new delivered, super shiny new, single owned, like you're the only owner, you're doing the maintenance, like when the maintenance was done because
100%.
you're doing it. The airlines don't have shit in them, like everything's exactly the way it should be because you're in charge. And then because anytime we bought something used, it was like, oh, it works, but there's this thing over here that you have to like shimmy. And you know what I mean? There's always that thing. It's like, oh, there's an air leak over here, but we put duct tape on it. And then like over here, this works, but you can't put anything on head 7 because that head 7 just doesn't work. You know what I mean? It works, but it doesn't work. There's always like quirks with it. We always call it character. Yeah. But when you buy something brand new, it's just like, oh, fuck yeah. And then you get like the year or whatever it is for like warranty. So if something on the press happens or there's just a shit part, because there's a million parts on these things, there's just a shit part, they just overnight you a new part, put the new part on and go. And I don't know, like I said, I feel like I'm definitely the advocate for like buy it when you can afford it. Don't go out and get in debt. But if you can afford it, get a new press. Yeah,
I would say to this point, like I've only ever paid cash for everything we have in our shop. So I've been pretty fortunate like that throughout the years. Like I've never bought anything that I can't afford.
Yeah. And it's always nice when shit happens, you don't have to pay anybody.
Yeah. Right.
Well, Dylan, you ready for some shop hacks?
Yeah. What do you got?
Before we go into shop hacks, though, I want to correct myself. I said Scott's shop is King Screen. Said it backwards. But so forgive me, I hope. Yeah, I think there is a Screen King.
Screen Kings is an awesome shop too. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Let's just shout out Screen Kings.
That's right. But I think I flipped it. So Scott, I hope you forgive me. Shop hacks.
He's not going to.
No. Definitely.
What you got?
I guess I was talking to the guys all week. We were having a tough time figuring out if we do something cool. Like one of our shop hacks might be like, we don't have a turnabout and like being in Canada, like it's literally insanely cold out here. So one thing we do with our Whyte ink is we heat our darkroom. So our darkroom, we leave at about plus 25 degrees Celsius.
Uh-oh.
I don't know what that is.
Uh-oh.
That's fucking algebra to me.
If
that
I was going to
100
take a
or
guess, it's got to be
200?
around. Rick, now you're going to make me want to like
300
It's like
degrees?
75 or 80 degrees, right?
Yeah. So it's about 75.
Dylan,
or
how'd
80
you know
degrees.
that? Look at you being smart over there.
This giant dome that I have to fit. Kellan has to send me fucking custom made hats to fit my fucking head. It's full of knowledge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, so we keep every night I don't know if we always scrape like white out of the screens or whatnot, but so we'll store ink in our dark room to keep it warm. And then during the day, without like a turnabout, we have crock pots. And so we'll fill the crock pot with water and you put like a quart container in there and then you set like a gallon on top of it and it keeps it nice and warm. So your white's always, nice and easily like stirred consistency.
Right. That's a good one. No, we've done the same thing. It works good because it keeps it nice and warm.
Yeah. Actually, I think just we've been talking about getting a turnabout when we get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Someone posted that today.
Oh, that's
Somebody
awesome.
put that. It was, dang it. It is 9 to 7 shop hacks. And we've got a crock pot. And it looks like it's smaller, maybe crock pot.
It's a little crock pot. Yeah. It's
like a mini crock pot.
It's like a single dude crock pot.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like, just a couple of weeks ago, I went out and like on the Facebook buy and sell, like I cruised around Leduc and I got like 3 crock pots.
Mm-hmm.
So now we just have a shit ton of them. But
You buy your
we
crock
had-
pots used, you said.
yeah, 100%. Like I got 2 of them for free.
Crock pots buy used,
Hilarious.
presses buy new.
You can buy a crock pot on Amazon that's like decent size for $20. Kellan's driving around town getting fucking crock pots from little old ladies.
It's like scored this sweet crock pot for $5.
Yeah.
Spent $30 in gas getting it.
I mean, when you think about it, you're not
100%.
putting food in it, so who cares? You're just putting ink in it, like whatever.
He's just trying to support his local community. He doesn't
go,
want to
right?
support Amazon.
Mm-hmm. Cheers to that. All right,
Yeah.
next shop hack.
That was it. That's all you had.
Uh-oh. Do I have? I don't know. Wait,
You
hold
gotta
on.
you have to make one up on the fly. Then no.
I mean, I don't even know if it'd be a shop hack, but like one thing that I've found that I find super advantageous as being a small business owner is meeting and befriending other local competition. Like I have absolutely nothing against like sharing anything I know knowledge wise with anybody. Like if you walked into my shop and you were like next door and you asked me what the hell I was doing to make my prints look better than yours, I'd tell you. And like, I've just found out over the years, like one of my best friends, he owns a shop like 45 minutes away from me. And like we started doing embroidery about 4 or 5 years ago. And like, I'll call that dude all the time. And he always answers the phone. He's like, 24-hour, like, embroidery hotline. How can I help you? And it's like, and he just like, he'll help me through stuff. Like if he ever has print issues, like, I just think like being friendly with other local businesses doing the same thing with you is like goes a long, long way. Like, and I think like some people find, being friendly with local competition like a bad thing. Like I'm going to go out and try and steal your business or something. And I like, there's enough people wanting shirts that there's enough printers out there that they can pick and choose wherever they want to go. And
yeah, no, I'm a firm believer in that too. I feel like it's just, it's bringing us all up at the same time and we're all trying to help each other. And, there's, like you said, there's more than enough work to go around. And a lot of the work is going to people that, are the Walmarts of screen printing and stuff. So if we all get better, then there's just going to be more stuff for all of us instead of everything going to them. So,
yep. I mean, I don't know if that's a shop hack or not, but
I wish there was more people giving us shop hacks that were like earlier we were talking about fucking insurance. Like stuff like that is important for business owners. Like, yeah, we could talk all day about like how to get the best white, but like I might need to know how I'm getting screwed by my accountant.
You ever do an insurance claim? Like 100%. If like anytime I know like anybody who actually since we've had our shop fire, I've had 2 buddies who've literally had their shops burned right to the ground. And like, I'm like, hire an insurance advocate. They are going to get you like, I think like if you paid the dude $5,000 and you got double what you were going to get in an insurance claim, how is that not
Totally
worth your
worth it.
time?
Yeah.
So yeah,
No, I agree.
that'd be my hugest poke. And talking about insurance, I hate it. When I first got business insurance, I remember my insurance broker being like, "Hey, do you want to get pandemic insurance?" I was like, "That's a thing." and I tell my wife all the time, I was like, "How the hell did she ask me about something like that?" And now, like 6-7 years later, it's like it actually happened. So,
Did you
They knew it
did you
was
have it, or did you say no?
no, we basically both laughed like that's ever going to happen, and then
Right.
just never got it. So
I wonder what that would cover.
yeah, it would
Probably
have
just
cost
loss of
covered,
sales.
yeah, like
loss of year over year. You would say, I mean, we're this quarter we're down this much, and then probably
yeah.
there would be
100%. Like that's a huge thing for insurance, like loss of revenue. If we didn't have that, like I think loss of revenue after our insurance claim was done, I think was $170,000 that we got over the course of a year, which was pretty cool.
Has anybody ever gotten insurance for like if you fuck up a big job that they'll cover it? Because I've been asked that a couple times by insurance companies if I wanted to get coverage for. They're always like, "Oh, you can have this one and pay X amount per month. If like you mess something up, you can like claim it and like we'll cover it." Like, do you guys do that, or anybody know anybody who's done that?
I don't have anything like that.
I feel like I'm so like anal and picky over big orders that I can't say that, because now I say that and we're going to mess up this massive order. But like, usually it's a small enough order where we just replace it if there's an issue.
We're just self-insured for stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
There probably is one,
You
but
eat it.
mhm. I mean, what are you going to pay every month for something like that? And
But that's my thing is like, how often are you messing stuff up where you have to claim it on your insurance?
well, in your
Like,
case, it might be a good idea.
right.
Right.
Well, I mean,
So-
the amount of money that we've claimed from insurance, I will never in the lifetime of this company pay that back to my insurance company.
Right. Yeah.
So,
I don't know.
and I mean, I would never wish anybody I know to go through what we went through with a fire, because it sucked a lot. Like I've never been so stressed in my entire life.
Yeah.
So,
Well, did you have any questions for us other than what's next?
Geez, Dylan asked it this time. I wasn't the knife in the side guy.
oof.
Thanks, Dylan. You are.
Well, yeah. Like one thing I kind of had is like we talk about it every once in a while around here, and then literally never do it. But shop meetings, like I know, like
Andy's the one to talk to you about that.
yeah, like I mean, I think it's cool, but I'd like to know like what do you cover at your shop meetings? Like, is it like day to day what's happening, or do you do it once a week? Where it's like
I've been to his shop meetings. It's a fucking sham. He's like, hurry up, get a picture for Instagram, and then they disperse. No, he does. His are good.
Dylan, yeah. Did you
I
enjoy
couldn't do it.
yourself? Did you?
I really think that it was good, and it would be super beneficial for a lot of shops to do that. But like I said, my guys have no filter, are in their assholes. So like
That's okay.
It wouldn't work for me. If I fucking rolled out a whiteboard and was like, here, this is what we're going to do today, guys, that whiteboard would be covered in shit. Or like I would be booed off wherever I was standing. It just,
Well,
I don't think it would work well.
so specifically, you want to know like how often we have them and what we're covering, you're saying?
yeah.
And okay, so we have a production meeting every morning, and that is at 7:50, and it's supposed to last for 10 minutes. So we're supposed to meet at 7:50, and 8 o'clock rolls around when we're on press. We're printing, and we all, the designers are there too. So it's not just on press; it's actual customer services here too. So I want it to last 10 minutes. Sometimes it goes over just a little bit, but my goal is anyway to be 10 minutes because it's expensive. But I think it's worth it, because whatever that costs, that 10 minutes, it's totally worth it, because we're going over a list, our production list, and there's issues. Like there's things in that list that are important that we know, and that the printers know, or that the customer service knows, or that shipping and receiving knows. And so I'm just trying to coordinate it, because as we scaled, it became really tough. It became so hard for everybody to be on the same page about everything. And it just wasn't a few people that we all know what's going on all the time. It was a lot of people. And so that morning production meeting, we're talking about, I'll just give like maybe one example. So we're talking about a job that maybe somebody added some shirts on, and it's a hot job because it's due that day, and we can't print it yet. So we're waiting on a UPS truck, and we don't want any surprises. And so we just want to make sure, like the shipping and receiving manager, she'll say, yeah, it's on a truck, it's out for delivery. And we usually get UPS around 11, which means that it'll get here, we'll get it checked in, and it'll print after lunch, maybe 1 o'clock or something like that. And so I just want it to be on the radar of the production manager, the press operators, and everybody, so that, look, there's this job that's coming in that we don't have here yet, and we're going to be printing it today. And so it's like first to check in off the truck, for example. We're not going to just start willy-nilly checking in all orders. We're going to check in that. There's a bin for it. We're going to check in the first to check in. We're going to get in the lineup and we're going to get it printed so that, I don't know, maybe it has to courier, maybe it has to ship, or maybe they're picking it up. I'm not sure, but there's issues that we'll bring up like with that. If there's a job holding for approval, we'll say, why is it still holding for approval? Let's get a hold of them. And things like that. So we have a production meeting for 10 minutes. We shoot the shit. It's not just like all business, I break it like at the beginning, just because we all are just like have woken up. We're just getting coffee in us. And so we say, our like hellos and things like that. And I really like 7:50 because I used to have it at 8, but when I do it at 7:50, that means I get everybody here at 7:50 or before, so.
And what time does your workday start?
7:50, I guess,
okay.
Well, salary is, they're here a little earlier maybe, but officially our business hours are 8 to 5, but there are some that are salary, some that are hourly. The hourlies all know they punch in, we do it from our phones. And so they punch in on their phone around 7:50. And I have that, like you gave me a look like, how do you do that? I'm not sure how you punch in or you do time clocks, but I have like a geo fence. It's like, you can't punch in from like a mile away or whatever. You have to be here. And so you punch in here and punch out here on your phone. And so I want everybody here at 7:50, because it's like, I noticed that it was like a really good way to have everybody here ready to go at 8. So it served an additional purpose. It wasn't just that, we're going over the production, like the day of what's happening, but we also are, my headphones aren't working, I don't think. Say something, Dylan.
Hello.
So it was like multiple purposes. We talked about, I guess, 1, we just kind of talked about how everybody is and checked in on everybody. 2, we talked about our production list. And 3, we have everybody here on time, and so nobody wants to be late or tardy when everybody's standing there and we're in a meeting, and so it kind of
like
works.
The asshole.
Yeah, you walk in.
I'm with Kellan on this though. Like, we're the same way. Like, in all honesty, like, we talk about it all the time, and we were talking about with this new year, we were going to do it. We're going to start doing meetings and everything. But like, with the move and getting in here and figuring out where we would actually have meetings and like making sure everybody's here at the same time, it definitely is something I would like to do sooner than later. Like, maybe once we get these new hires in, just like start doing it then. But I do think it's a really good idea, and Andy definitely inspired me and made me want to do it more, especially after I visited and saw one. So,
and my biggest issue is I'm the last one to the shop in the morning. Like, I have 2 little girls, and I literally have to drop them both off in the morning. Like, Steve's here at 7, and then everybody else shows up like right around 8, and I get to the shop at 8:15 because after like dropping my oldest daughter off at school.
I mean, that's okay. I mean, that's all right. So fine.
But you could just say production meetings at like 8:30.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure. That's fine. I mean, I've experimented with all different times, sometimes 8:30 is even better because, like you said, maybe it's not you, but maybe there's a shop, maybe there's somebody here that has that same situation because, I do that. We are flexible like that. So if somebody has an issue in the morning where they have to drop their kids off and they can't be here till 8:15 or whatever, well, then we work it out. So maybe they work, it's advantageous for us because maybe they work from, say it's 8:30 to 5:30, because I always wanted somebody here from 5 to 5:30 because there's a lot of pickups that occur during that. Even though we say we're closed at 5, there's a lot of people that work until 5 and then they jump in their car and they can't make it here until 5:30. Well, isn't it great that I have somebody here until that can be here until 5:30? So I'll, sometimes
it's like we work from like 9 to 5:30 usually. That's our day.
Yeah, Steve's a freaking machine. He literally is here at 7:00 in the morning, and we'll both usually walk out the door around the same time, around like 5:45 or 6 at night. And Steve is here every single day.
He is salary or hourly?
Yeah, he's salary.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's like the number one around here. Like if we had an employee of the month, it would be Steve. Not that everybody else isn't awesome. They are awesome. Steve is just.
Oh,
Steve
they're
is
going to
just-
hear this and they're
I know,
going to be so
like,
pissed.
Screw
We
you,
have,
Kellan.
We have a Steve too, and he's awesome. So I know what that's like. And when you have a Steve, then I think it's important to recognize that, acknowledge it, and compensate.
Is his name
for it.
actually Steve?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Steve
What do you
Hackman.
mean?
I don't have a Steve.
Oh,
I have a Steve. You need a Steve. Everybody
fucked.
needs a Steve. We have a Kyle too. Everybody needs a Kyle. There's a lot. There's some good ones out there, but we have, so I think,
Does your Kyle drink Mountain Dew and have Monster Energy? Stuff like that?
he drinks a lot of coffee and he tapes screens really fast, and people.
If I
try
know
to-
anything about Kyle, he's definitely a Monster Energy kind of guy.
No, he's a like 5-6 cups of coffee kind of guy.
Yeah.
a
But
lot of coffee.
I would say that when you have somebody like the point I was trying to make is that if you have somebody that is like that, is really dedicated, like they're devoted to their job, they care about, being there all the time or as much as possible anyway. And they also, like, I have people here that will study screen printing. Like when they're not here, they'll watch videos and stuff. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. Like you go home.
That's
And
the
then you-
best feeling.
Yeah, and you
That is
actually
nice.
care so much that you're going to watch a YouTube video or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Like
learn
literally
more.
no joke, like that fucking warms my heart when somebody say like, oh, I watched this thing this weekend or I learned this thing. I'm just like, oh, you care. And they're just like, I fucking partied so hard this weekend. I don't think I'm going to function today.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be better tomorrow.
Well, I think it's important to recognize that they care and
That's
say,
awesome.
look, I appreciate everything you're doing for this place. We couldn't do it without you, and you add so much, and your dedication is like awesome. And hey, I got you some extra cash. So
I
that's
got you
good.
some cookies.
Hell yeah.
Shut up, Dylan. Shut up.
Yeah, we just hired a new embroidery lady in November, and like she'll be like, oh, I gotta go home and watch YouTube videos and to figure out this issue I'm having with the machine or something. You're like, this is fantastic. I love that you're just like you're figuring this out on your own time. So I'm not.
Like I do. It's like if somebody said that to me, I'll get them lunch. Like if somebody said, especially when somebody gives us a Google review and they're like, oh, I came to Shirkong and the customer service was awesome, and Bethany or Claire or somebody, they really helped me out. Then I'll say, lunch on me, because that's really, I know that's special when you have somebody that like would actually give you a review and say you did a great job. So yeah.
No, I like that.
Any more questions?
Let's go over this tiny little list I made.
You
here.
have 15 seconds.
I guess like another question is like, I mean, obviously we're a pretty small company. There's only 5 of us who work here, like growing pains. Like how do you deal with that? Like, how do you figure out, who we need to hire next? Like what position needs to be filled? Like, that's like a big thing we're dealing with right now. Like, my role has changed so much over the years of like, literally before I hired Steve, I did absolutely everything. Like and we hired Steve and he worked for me for about 5 months. And then I hired another dude and those two ran the autos and I did sales. I did art. Like thankfully I taught them both how to burn screens at that time. So it's like, they took on everything in the back and then I was doing everything up front. And I guess I'm just like, now I have one guy that does sales. I have one embroidery lady. Steve's the main press operator. We're training another kid to run, Drew. He's been with us just over a year, training him to run the auto so we can run 2 autos. But it's just like,
Andy didn't want to answer your question, so
I know
he fucking
ran
ducked
away.
out.
But I don't know. This is a problem. Like where I don't know if it's a problem, but it's like, at what point do you plan to bring on who to help with certain roles around the shop?
Well, Andy's got 400 employees and I don't have nearly as many as him, so he might have more insight. But I personally feel like here, I don't hire somebody until there's a job that is consistently lacking. Like if there's a spot in the shop where like, I know there's times when you're busy and there's times when you're not busy and there's times when it's just like, okay, and everything's normal. If you need somebody in all 3 of those times, then that's when it's time to hire somebody. not like, oh shit, we're busy, we got to hire like 4 people. And then when you're not busy, you're like, well, what the fuck are they doing? They're just standing around, or you got nothing for them to do. So that's why I kind of do the method of like, everybody who works here has a couple things to do on their plate, and they're kind of managers of their own area, not just like, oh, I just do this one thing. And then when there's, you know, a job is being set up, they're like twiddling their thumbs. I try to find multiple things for everybody to do to where I can keep my employees down. And I can't remember a ton of it because it was a couple of years ago, but I ended up doing like one of Mark Cadre's classes. And that was like one of his big things was just like, I know being a business owner, you want to have like flashy things and things to brag about. And the things that people always want to brag about is what's the square footage of your building, which to me is fucking stupid. And then the second thing is always, how many employees do you have? It's like, they don't know anything about your business. They don't care about whatever. They just want to hear you say, I have 900 employees and I have a 1 million square foot building. It's like, cool. I think that, like Mark was saying, he's like, you should keep it your number. Like, you should be proud of the lower number of like, oh, I have 8 guys that do the work of a shop who has 15 guys or 20 guys or whatever. So not to say we don't need more people, or there's shops that have a lot of people need a lot of people, but like, I feel like you should only get them when you need them, because payroll is the most expensive thing you're going to pay as a business owner. So that's my 2 cents. But like I said, I'm not a company that has, 30 employees. So I can't attest to a ton of that, but I get what you're saying for sure.
Yeah.
I think having the right amount of employees is a challenge, because like Dylan said, and no matter where you are, if it's 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, I think that having the right amount is the ultimate challenge of a business, because when we don't have enough, then what that means is there's overtime. All of a sudden we have too much work. We don't have enough people. We're in overtime. Well, overtime is cool for some, for a while, for a day or maybe a week or 2 weeks sometimes. Like, okay, well, I've gotten a lot of overtime. And but at a certain point, there's burnout and it's no good. So all of a sudden you have your crew and your team and you're burning them out. And that, so you need to add somebody. But if you add somebody or 2 people or 3 people, and then it slows down, now you have too many people. And then also the like a reverse effect happens, and people they don't want to go home, or they want the hours, and so and so it's like all of a sudden, having that right amount where there's not really much overtime, maybe the little, and maybe is really tough, because how can you predict what next month will be, or next week, or whatever? You don't know how busy you'll be. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden it'll surge in and you'll just get crazy amount of orders and you don't have enough people, but you thought you had it, you thought you had it figured out. We got the right amount of people, and I don't know, I think it's really tough. And so how do you know when to add? I think that maybe the best answer to that is you can do a couple of things. One, you can add a person, or you can add a machine, or both. So I guess there's 3 things there. You can automate. I think
the first thing to look at would be if you can afford a piece of equipment that makes it a lot easier, where you don't have to hire somebody. It's definitely going to pay for itself. If you had a human being, you're going to be paying that person X amount of $1,000 a year every year.
Yeah, and exactly, and that's true. But sometimes adding machine means that you're adding people too, because have to, like, if it's a press.
Right. The biggest thing is like auto reclaim or whatever. A lot of people say like you shouldn't get one until you have 2 guys cleaning screens or whatever. Like if you have an auto reclaim, you can use 1 guy instead of hiring 2 to 3 people to clean screens.
If you're a shop that has 1 person cleaning screens all day, and then you need to hire another one, and get another dip tank and get another booth, because you just
buy an auto reclaim.
Buy an auto reclaim, because an auto reclaim may cost $100,000. But hiring another person's $30,000, and for sure, plus benefits or whatever. And so in 3 years, you're basically at an auto reclaim. And not only did that piece of equipment, you didn't have to hire another person, but it made the quality of life of the person that wasn't reclaimed.
And it never calls in sick. It doesn't bitch at you. So
That's the dream.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a really good question. It's really tough. I've always thought of it like when we're busy and when we're in overtime for an extended period of time, it's time to do something. And whether it's a machine or a person or both, it's time to do something. The only time I don't do that is when it's late in the season, late in the year, like let's say October. I generally don't hire after a certain point in October because, we'll just have to suck it up, do some, log some long hours because it's about to, and for us anyway, January, February, it gets slower. And so I don't want to hire somebody, carry them through all of the holidays, carry them through the slow times, and then only to, it just doesn't make sense. And so I like we hire a lot of people in right about now in March. So I don't know. It's hard. It's definitely hard, but and I get it wrong still. Like I don't have enough people sometimes, and sometimes I have too many. So I don't think you can, how can you predict,
Some of our busiest months this past year, we ended up hiring like a local shop. I guess they like downsized huge. We hired one of their employees and like we added them, and we were actually less productive than we were because we hired somebody who was supposed to have a bunch of experience, and the experience didn't translate well into our shop atmosphere. And it was just like it didn't help us, and it was like, this sucks.
For sure. Yeah. All right. Well, quick takes.
Quick takes. Yeah. Who's starting?
What's your best recent read?
Oh, man,
listen?
I don't.
Show episode 35.
Yeah, there we go. No, I don't. I honestly won't lie. I don't read books or anything. Like I got onto the audiobook train a little bit last year, and I listened to that Mike McCallowitz, I think is whatever that Profit First. Dude. Yeah, I listened to a couple of his books were pretty cool. I think I listened to 3 of them or something over the past year, and like I thought they were pretty interesting reads, like or whatever listens. So yeah, like I have one of my good buddies from like junior high school. Like he also runs an auto detailing company, and he's like totally went profit first, and he loves it. I actually never set it up or did it, but
it's definitely good to hear about though. Like that's why I said like it changed things for me, but I didn't do profit first. Like I just more decided to do the whole like pay for my expenses up front thing. And then that made things way better for me. So I definitely got stuff from it, but I didn't do the actual profit first method.
Yeah, I probably should. Cause I mean, I don't know. He's liking it. Like, so I should probably maybe take that into some consideration.
Andy.
All right. Next question. What is the most Canadian thing you do?
The most Canadian thing I do, drink Slurpees in the middle of winter. Like I would imagine Canadian. That's got to be the most Canadian thing. Like -30 out, and you'll go get. Well, I guess we'll go to like Tim Hortons and get like ice caps or whatnot. But
jug maple syrup.
Yeah, put syrup on everything.
Yeah. Let's see. What would you say is the best lesson from running a print shop has taught you?
Best lesson from running a print shop. I mean,
don't use extension cords.
Yeah, like
that's a good one.
Don't use extension cords. Like I guess in like in the fact of buying used equipment, do your research on who the hell you're dealing with. Like if you're gonna buy used equipment, make sure that person's reputable. Like make sure they either have a website or because like after I got screwed on my first deal, like when I dealt with Dave McLean, I paid for that auto on my Visa. I was like, I'm not getting screwed. I want to be able to ensure my purchase here. Mm-hmm. So
that was something that like I did too. Like you were talking about that earlier. And like anytime it's like a lower-ish ticket item, but it's something used or whatever, I always try to buy out with like PayPal. Because like if something shitty happens, if they don't send it to you or something doesn't happen, you can do like a claim with PayPal, and PayPal will automatically give you your money back until they like figure out what's going on.
Oh, crazy.
So, I mean, you don't want to like buy a $15,000 piece of equipment with PayPal, but yeah,
that's totally what I did with that auto. I think I paid it was like $15,000 that I put on my Visa.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
Next question. Do you have any irrational fears?
Irrational fears, man. I think I was thinking about this one. I don't know. Having kids has made like my fears.
Having your toes stick out from under the sheets at night.
Yeah, dude, man, it gets damn cold when it's like so seriously. Like we've been in what they call a polar vortex for the past week, like minus 40, like every night, and like the house, even like our house is not even 10 years old, and like it is cold as hell
minus 40 Celsius.
Yeah, which is basically minus 40 F. Like that is like a
now I'm really confused. Did you say
it's all math?
Did you say your irrational fear was kids?
No, kids getting hurt. Sorry. Like, yeah, ever
no
since
kids. I'm leaving it at kids.
I like that kids because I have that same fear.
He's like, what? Why are they so much smaller than me?
Yeah, my children scare me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Kids, they're it's overrated. All right, next question, Dylan. That's you.
Oh shit. Oh, hold on. If you weren't a screen printer, what would you be?
I mean, I would imagine if I wasn't a screen printer, I'd probably go back to working in the oil field. Like, maybe. I mean, the oil field's gone to shit since I.
Well, I thought they closed that down. Just like for real. I don't know what you mean by oil, but I thought the pipeline.
I want you to be an oil man like Daniel Day-Lewis and There Will Be Blood.
I don't know. I guess when I worked in the oil field, like, so there's like the rigs that actually go in and punch the hole in the ground, right? Like, and I worked for a service company. We didn't actually drill, but I mean, I've worked on the rigs that are actually like drilling the hole, and we would run tools on a wire line into the hole, and like we ran explosives and tools to tell you what, like where the oil or gas was in the well and stuff. So I'd possibly do that, or I have no real other idea. I'd probably try and start another company doing some, like I've thought about it, like since we bought so much used equipment that like no one in Canada is.
You could flip equipment.
Yeah. Like that's exactly what I've thought. Like there's nobody in Canada, in my personal opinion, doing a good job at it. And finding used equipment in Canada is extremely hard to find good used equipment. And
you could carry crock pots too.
Heck yeah. Get them for free, make a few bucks. Like,
I like it.
Hustling fucking crock pots on whatever Quibi or whatever the hell it is that you.
Quibi.
Kijiji.
Kijiji.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man.
Congealy.
What is for dinner?
You know what? I don't even. I forgot to ask before I left.
His feelings.
Yeah.
What was for dinner last night?
Actually, my neighbor is he recently got a smoker, and he'd smoked some pulled pork and brought us dinner over.
Dude, so everybody's doing barbecue and it's killing me.
Yeah, we didn't have to cook. So my neighbor like just freaking brought over pulled pork, brought over like the buns, coleslaw, everything.
There you go.
Hell yeah.
It was awesome.
Dylan, what are you doing?
I am leaving here. I'm actually supposed to be picking food up at 7:45, and it's 7:34 right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
At Lost Dog, which is a really nice place in town. I mean, it only takes like a half hour to get there. So
Lost Dog, what do they have?
They have a lot of stuff, but it's more of stuff like for people who want like, how do I want to put this? That's people aren't going to yell at me. Like they have stuff that's more like grass-fed burgers or like
it's like a healthier
ale. Yeah, it's like a healthier place.
Well, that grass-fed is a real deal.
Place I normally want to go to.
Because if you don't do the grass-fed, you don't get your vitamins. You don't get that B. So that's a big deal. For dinner, for me, I'm having some Trader Joe's.
You're just eating the grocery store?
Yeah, exactly. I'm just eating the store.
Yeah, we don't have those in Canada.
Trader Joe's like, so they have, and I'm going to get shit for this, just like Dylan said, it's going to get shit for whatever. But
it's a hoity-toity grocery store.
No.
Don't fucking say no.
It's fresh pasta is what we're going to have.
Oh,
but
cool.
it's somebody that made
It's for people who like to spend 3 times as much on their groceries.
It's actually cheaper than like Whole Foods and stuff like that. So and actually than some of our.
You basically just said it's cheaper to buy Adidas than it is to buy Nikes.
All right, I'm done. So anyway, awesome. This was fun. I know we met up last at Long Beach and maybe something will happen. I think I've heard about Print United trying to make their thing happen this fall, so maybe that'll happen. But
in Georgia,
I looked up. Actually, I Googled this morning because my wife is from almost the Canadian border. She's from North Dakota.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, oh, maybe next time we're up, visiting your parents, I can go see Kellan. But I Googled how long. I Googled
this way further.
No. I Googled from our house where we were this morning how long it would take to drive to your house, and it was your shop, and it was 27 hours.
Just a little jaunt.
It actually said 1 day and 3 hours or something. I'm like, did it make a mistake? Because it said 1 day, 3 hours. Does that mean that we drive and then rest and then drive the next day for 3 hours? Or is it like you have to drive the whole day, but you do have to drive 24 hours and then 3 more? So I don't think we should drive there.
Not close.
We're in the middle of nowhere. But if you do want to come out, we're fairly close to like mountains and stuff. I swear we talked about it maybe one time, Andy, like back in the day, like, if you wanted to come up and go snowboarding or something. Like we live pretty close to the mountains.
Yeah, when you first came on, I thought those were snowboards, but then I saw Tony Hawk. And I'm like, I don't think maybe he snowboards, but he probably doesn't have his own board.
Pretty sure there's like Tony Hawk bicycles at like Walmart. So
we have Six Flags here, and there's a Tony Hawk ride.
Well, that's cool.
So
you just sit on his lap.
That's it. Yeah, he's there. He's
like, hey guys, I'm Tony Hawk. And then you sit on his lap and he like does a 900.
That'd be awesome.
It would be.
All right, Kellan. Well, we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for sending me the hats too.
Well, I got a shirt too. Apparently you didn't get a shirt, but I got a shirt.
I got shirts.
And I also got stickers.
Yeah.
Did you?
I'm pretty sure we got the same thing.
I think I sent you both.
I think you sent me more. I got more stickers. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I got one more sticker and one more shirt. Well, I'm a bigger guy and I got more material in my shirt. So fuck you. I win.
All right, man.
All right, Kellan. We'll see you later, dude.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.